honestly, I don't want them to make too big of a deal of it. I want them to treat practice like the game, because if we're coaching it the right way, then that's how it should feel. Practice should be harder than the game. So I want them to trust their training and take their practice habits onto the game field. I think it's really important that our guys have the same attitude we've asked them to have all camp, have a team-first attitude and have shocking effort. That's what we're looking for, competitive guys. And one thing that we've really stressed is, especially for our young guys, of using special teams as their avenue to make the team. So we're going to be evaluating those reps very critically.
It's Unnecessary Roughness, presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
And we just heard from head coach Clint Kubiak, who met with the media over at the Raiders facility in advance of being here where I'm at right now, which is Allegiant Stadium, for their practice that they have tonight that's open to the fan base. And we've been talking about it quite a bit, from the morning tailgate to JT the Brick and, of course, us here on Unnecessary Roughness. $5 to get in to this beautiful stadium that we call Allegiant Stadium. Raiders.com. The $5 goes to the Raiders Foundation. So a small donation to get you into this beautiful building and get your first early look at the Silver and Black ahead of their preseason game number 1 coming up against the Cardinals on Thursday. So really excited to be here. Right now there's some testing going on the field. Sibley Scholes is down there doing her thing. I see the DJ making some noise on the wheels of steel. He ain't like Ari on the wheels of steel. Now, let's not get it twisted. He ain't Ari on the wheels of steel, but he's making some noise on the wheels of steel. And as I tweeted out a picture at your boy Q254 and at RNR 920 AM, it is definitely the calm before the storm. You can see all the preparation, see people getting different sections ready, and it's almost like the first day of school again, where everyone remembers each other from the end of last year, if you were fortunate enough to be around for the end of last year, and then all of a sudden, boom, we're back in the mix for this year. So it's really cool making my way here. I've probably been here for about an hour and a half now. Just wanted to take my time, soak it in. I'm sitting in the home booth right now where Jason Horowitz and Kirk Morrison, game in and game out, will be right here on the call of the game. The same spot that JT the Brick will be in the call of the game coming up on Thursday, as he'll be doing the radio play-by-play calls alongside Matt Millen and EA, as they always do during the preseason. And Jason and Kirk will be on the TV call of things, which leaves me to do the pregame show and the postgame show. And that'll come to you live from Allegiant Stadium as well, and I'll have Lincoln Kennedy by my side for the pregame and postgame show as well. So now you know that it's go time. Scan my credential to get into the building. That's when you know it's real, right? I had a wristband on. That's what we've been having at training camp. They give you a wristband, especially when there's fans in attendance of practice, and so it just kind of differentiates the fans and the media members. So I had my wristband on, and they said, "Oh no, we're in the stadium today. Need to scan the credential." So I pulled that bad boy out. They scanned it. All right, Mr. Myers, have a good day. And I was like, wow. It is back. It is official, and Raiders football will be played many Sundays right where we're at right now inside Allegiant Stadium. It's Unnecessary Roughness, RaiderNation Radio 920. Of course, we got a big show lined up for you on way to the game tonight, and, it's just a scrimmage game. We saw it last year. We've seen it a year before that as well, and, again, it gives the fans an opportunity to see their team up close and personal for a very cheap price, get really good seats wherever you want to sit. All you got to do is get yourself in the door. So that's really cool. Right now, I'm looking down at the field, and the security, they're going through a routine right now as if there was a fan that ran onto the field, what they would have to do, how they would have to take someone down. That was hilarious. Watch it, because that looks so real. It looks so real, like they were really getting after it, but it was all security, and they just did their routine running onto the field and chasing a fan down if they were to do something silly like that, which, of course, we don't encourage that. But I like that. Look, they got to be prepared for everything, Ari. That was kind of cool. I have to admit, I've never seen that practice before, and while I'm looking at it, it was around the 40-yard line, and Sibley Scholes is around the 20-yard line. She never even flinched. She never even flinched. Like, if that was me, I would have turned and I'd have been watching. I mean, I was locked in right now sitting in the booth. She didn't even turn and look. She didn't even get worried about nothing. She's just like, yeah, okay, cool. Do what you guys do. So,
great. They're ready. Love it.
They are. They are ready. So, hey, just know that everyone's trying to get in midseason form. It's training camp for everybody, right? Including security. That was awesome to be able to sit here and witness that. But let's get to the show, man. Got a big show lined up for you. Very excited about being here and, of course, having the opportunity to be with you for the next 3 hours. Decam Richardson, I had an opportunity to catch up with him after practice yesterday. You'll hear that conversation. It's a lot shorter than the conversation I had with Mike Washington Jr., but that's okay. Decam is a guy that I've been pleasantly surprised by what we've seen in training camp. And that's not me trying to slight him or knock him, but we've seen him in other seasons and other training camps, and he's going into year 3. And I even told him, you'll hear it in the conversation, I was like, is this year 4? Is this year 4 or year 3? He's like, no, it's going into year 3. I was like, all right. It just goes by so fast. Sometimes you lose count. But he has been a guy that I feel like has really shined when it was OTAs or mandatory minicamp. And then all of a sudden the pads came on, and you just don't see Decam step up. You remember going back to his rookie year when he was drafted in the 4th round out of Mississippi State, he got thrown into action because Jacorian Bennett got injured. And so he didn't have a good rookie year, but he got a lot of reps. And so I thought that, okay, the next year those reps are going to be valuable. He's going to come back and he's going to have an opportunity. And, oh, by the way, he's with Pete Carroll, and he's a tall, fast dude. So I felt like, okay, he's going to fit what a prototypical Pete Carroll corner looked like. And it just, for some reason, didn't click. Now, he still did his thing on special teams, but it was never able to get it done defensively. And so far, early on in the process, it's only August 11th. They've only had 10 practices under their belt, with 11 being tonight here at Allegiant. He has looked really good, even with the pads on, and he has been right there in the hip pocket of the wide receivers. He's made plays on the ball, and as I told him, he looks like he's playing with a lot of confidence. And sometimes there's something to be said about just having some stinking confidence. You know, I say it all the time when it comes to basketball. Sometimes you need to see the ball go through the hoop. It felt like to me that Decam needed to see the ball go through the hoop a couple times. But not only did he need a free throw to go down, but he needed to knock down a three-pointer, right? Just knock down a three-pointer, cash, butter, right? It's wet. That's what he needed to do. He needed to get one of those to cash. And it just seems like that's what's happened so far. So he's definitely a guy that I want to continue to monitor and see how he progresses through training camp and, more importantly, through preseason games. But that quick conversation with Decam, you'll hear that coming up at 2:30. At 3 o'clock, I mentioned Lincoln Kennedy. He'll be on the call with me for the pregame and postgame shows throughout the course of the preseason. He'll join us at 3. So, we always have really good conversation with Big Link. He's also my partner there on the Locked On Raiders podcast, The Squad Show with Chantel Chan. And so he always drops nuggets and knowledge. And, again, he helps us get smarter, just like Kirk Morrison helps us get smarter. He'll join us at 3 o'clock to talk about what he'll be looking for coming up on Thursday in the preseason game. We'll talk about the depth chart. We'll talk about the offensive line. Obviously, that's his area of expertise. But we'll get all the nuggets, all the knowledge from Lincoln Kennedy. He'll do that coming up at 3 o'clock. John McClain, covering all things NFL, will join us at 3:30 like he does every single Tuesday. I was actually on the phone with John for a while on Sunday night, just talking about plans for H-Town when we're all there, and looking forward to being out there. Matter of fact, next week I'll be out there Monday morning all the way through the game and get back here to Vegas on Friday. So I'm looking forward to that trip, and me and John are going to do some collaborating while we're out there, so that's going to be fun. And just getting back to Texas for a little while just to see what it's like in H-Town and check out a team in the Texans that are really good. So we started to put some plans together for that, but we'll just scatter shoot all things NFL with John McClain coming up at 3:30. Then 4 o'clock, Ari, get out your notepad, get your pen, get everything that you need to take as many notes as you need. Liz Loza, ESPN Fantasy. That's right, ESPN Fantasy. I am not a fantasy guy. We know that. That is not my bag, but I know how big fantasy football is, and I know how many people love fantasy football, including my guy Ari. So Liz Loza is going to join the show. She'll talk about the ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon that they have going on August 24th and 25th, and all the questions that you have fantasy football-wise, please direct it to the text line at 702-365-9200. We'll try to get as many in as possible. Obviously, I can't keep her the whole hour, but we'll try to get as many questions in as possible, get as much information so you can set your fantasy football team accordingly. Again, I don't have one. I don't do fantasy football. I don't have time for it. It's not an arrogance thing. It's just I literally don't have time for it. And I know if you're going to do it correctly, you have to really spend some quality time with it. I had one fantasy football team that I was forced to have one time when I was working at ESPN. Yeah, I was. When we were working at ESPN Central Texas, they said everyone has to have a fantasy football team. So I just let it pick my own team for me, right? I never looked at it. It picked my team, and this is how old this was. I had Jamal Charles was on my team. He was selected on my team, and I traded him to someone else on the show that was with us for any Raider. I don't care what Raider it was. I was like, just give me any Raider, take Jamal Charles. I don't want him. And obviously Jamal Charles was a hell of a running back there for the Kansas City Chiefs, but I didn't want him on my squad. I never looked at that team, so I'm sure I finished last, but that was the last time I did anything fantasy football-wise. And that's not how you treat a fantasy football league. You literally have to participate like you do, Ari. You're invested in it.
Yeah. You also can't be too much of a fan. You have to go against your team. If, like last year, a lot of stuff with the Raiders, you kind of had to pass on some people or not, not get wrapped up into it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you win 3 games, you average 77 yards per game on the ground. There's certain things that you have to look over your fandom and just, if you're trying to win, obviously there's a strategy to it. Obviously you have to put your fandom behind and you have to go with the best players.
Yes.
But again, I'm not a fantasy football guy, so I don't give a rip.
Well, that still applies, but I will say this year, and I hope maybe she'll mention some of it organically. I think there's a couple people on this team that that you might have some interest in.
Yeah, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, Michael Mayer. Right? I could go on and on. Jalen Naylor, Trey Tucker. I mean, look, I ain't got to be a fantasy football guy. I ain't no fool. I ain't no dummy.
Well,
I know how the butter's going to get bread or the bread's going to get buttered for the Raiders. I know how that's going to happen. Those guys I just mentioned.
Yeah, just a much better outlook this season. I mean, you never know what's going to happen, but there was a lot of high expectations last season that unfortunately for many, many reasons just didn't hit. So we shall see. We will see what she says. That'll be
Look what Ari just told me, Raider Nation, that I am a fantasy expert already.
See that?
I just realized in that quick conversation, that quick exchange, your boy has become a fantasy football expert. Yeah, right.
You're a reality expert, actually. You do reality football very well.
Yeah,
by the way,
exactly. Look, I can't do everything, man.
Yeah.
I can't do everything. I gotta have a little Law and Order SVU downtime.
That's right.
Sorry.
That's right.
Which, by the way, all weekend long, it was Series 1. It was Season 1 that was playing. Do you know how young Ice-T and Benson and Stabler and Munch, you know how young those cats looked in Season 1 compared to Season 27?
Even the camera is like the visuals
oh,
different.
My
it's
goodness.
So
even the acting wasn't good.
Yeah. A lot has changed.
Wow, man, this thing has really evolved from Season 1. But guess who was locked in? This guy.
Yeah,
so,
well deserved.
With that being said, Liz Loza will join the show coming up at 4 o'clock. So as you can tell, we're locked and loaded, man. We're packed. We're here at Allegiant Stadium. Decam Richardson around 2:30. Lincoln Kennedy at 3. John McClain 3:30. Liz Loza, ESPN Fantasy, will join us at 4 o'clock. Of course, we got to hear from you as well at 702-365-9200 text line and phone line. Got a lot of activity for you this afternoon as well. Excited about it. Ari's got winning on the way. Before we get into the opening drive, we do got to hear from our guy E-Rob. And yesterday was important. Thursday is definitely important, but today is, and why is that?
Because every day matters. The older you get, the more you start appreciating day in and day out. Because I can't get that time back. I'm in the business of saying, not if I would have did this or if I would have did that. I'm in the business of now.
And, Ari, I know that I did this in reverse order, but right now I need you to go ahead and give the word of the day for the summer of fun, the trip to Hawaii, or $3,000, brought to you by Terribles. How do the fine folks get in to win? What word do they need to text at 702-365-9200?
That word is river, R-I-V-E-R, river.
Okay, there you go. Simple,
Boom.
right? There's definitely going to be a river or two that you'll find there in Hawaii, if not an ocean or two, right? Or actually just an ocean. But anyway, don't want to get everyone confused. But river is the word, R-I-V-E-R. Text that to 702-365-9200. That'll get you in to win the trip to Hawaii. It's a summer of fun. This is the last trip that we're giving out. You can take the trip or you can take the cash. The cash is $3,000. Now that we heard from E-Rob, we heard from Ari, we gave the show rundown. Let's go ahead and get into the opening drive.
The opening drive of Unnecessary Roughness on Raider Nation Radio 920 AM is brought to you by Paul Padala. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
So the big conversation all day long today has been the depth chart. Ever since the Raiders dropped it and released it last night, I spoke about it on the Locked On Raiders podcast and want to make sure that we continue to talk about the depth chart. First unofficial depth chart. Nothing is, official, set in stone about this depth chart right now. It's also 90-man depth chart right now, which we all know will not be that when it comes to, the regular season. Once they get down to cut downs, they'll cut it down to 53 men, and then they'll have the practice squad as well. And so it'll look a lot different. But right now we go off of what we know. So I wanted to throw the question out there. What are your biggest takeaway from the first unofficial depth chart, with the understanding it's unofficial and it's 90 men, not 53? And I know some will say, well, Q, I don't have the depth chart in front of me. I don't know what's really going on in the depth chart. So I'll go through the two deep kind of quickly. With the wide receivers, it's Jalen Naylor and Dante Thornton Jr. Jalen Naylor, obviously, with the ones. The other wide receiver, Jack Bech, with Malik Benson, the rookie, the 6th-round pick out of Oregon, who's been getting a lot of attention. He's behind him there. That's the 2 deep right there with the wide receivers. The offensive line, left to right, Colton Miller, Spencer Burford, Tyler Linderbaum, Jackson Powers-Johnson, and DJ Glaze. Trey Zune behind Glaze, 2 deep on the right tackle spot. Antonio Mafi, the 2nd spot on the right guard. Jordan Meredith behind Tyler Linderbaum. And Caleb Rogers at the left guard spot with Charles Grant behind Colton Miller. Then you've got the quarterback, Kirk Cousins, Fernando Mendoza, followed by Aiden O'Connell. Asher Genty, followed by Mike Washington Jr. and Dylan Lobby. Connor Hayward, followed by Patrick Gerd. Defensively, defensive ends. Actually, I'll just give you the defensive line. Defensive end, Max Crosby. 2 defensive tackles, Tonka Hemingway, Adam Butler, all first team. Behind those guys, Kuntz, Jonah Laulu, and Thomas Booker. Edge, you got Kwity Paye, N'Kobe Dean, Quay Walker. Then the 2 deep behind that, Kieron Crawford behind Paye, Tommy Eichenberg behind Dean, and Cody Lindenberg behind Quay Walker. The corners, Stokes, Darian Porter, Taron Johnson. Those are all first-team guys. With Decam Richardson, the guy you'll hear from at 2:30 behind Stokes. Hezekiah Masses, the young man that's been getting a lot of conversation out of camp, right behind Darian Porter, and Greedy Vance behind Taron Johnson. Safeties, Isaiah Polomau and Jeremy Chin, last year's starters, followed by the rookies, the teammates at Arizona, Traden Stukes and Dalton Johnson. So that was just a 2 deep. I just wanted to go through it real quick. Didn't want to have a laundry list of just names like I'm doing a roll call in school. But for that matter, what are your biggest takeaways from the first unofficial depth chart with the understanding it's unofficial and it's 90 men, not 53? And I'll give you mine real quick. I'll give you mine offensively, and I'll give you mine defensively, and then I'd love to hear from you at 702-365-9200. Offensively, Caleb Rogers running with the seconds on the depth chart at left guard. I'm not surprised he's with the second team, but at left guard behind Spencer Burford, because he has been in camp running with the right guards and running and going in and out with JPJ, competing with him at the right guard spot. So to see him listed behind Spencer Burford at the left guard spot, that definitely caught my attention. Trey Zune, the rookie, big fan of his coming out of Texas A&M. And when I mean big fan of his, I think because he can play multiple positions, he's going to be a guy that the Raiders are going to be able to lean on that offensive line. He's under 2 deep on the depth chart at right tackle behind DJ Glaze. We've at least I've assumed that he's going to be a guard in this league. I know there's some that have hit me up and said, hey, man, that's going to be the next left tackle. That's going to be the next right tackle. Well, maybe you're onto something, because he's second on the depth chart at right tackle behind DJ Glaze. So maybe that's the competition we should be looking at. Dante Thornton, second team wide receiver behind Naylor. He hasn't been practicing. I'm actually don't expect to see him out here today. We'll see if he's out here during this, what I'm big calling a scrimmage. We'll see if he's out here, and we'll see what happens on Thursday during the game. But he's the second team behind Jalen Naylor, and then Malik Benson, the guy who's been in all the conversation, is the second team behind Jack Bech. So those are what stood out to me about the offensive side of things. Defensively, Tonka Hemingway, first team defensive tackle, alongside and in between Crosby and Butler. Decam Richardson, mentioned him, second team behind Stokes, with Jamad McCoy behind him. The rookie, the 4th-round pick with the first-round talent out of Tennessee, is on the third team. Porter, first team. Hezekiah Masses, second team at the other corner spot. Porter's had a really good camp, in my opinion. Masses has as well. And then Traden Stukes, second team behind Isaiah Polomau. And he made a really good play yesterday at camp when he broke up a pass in the corner of the end zone. Just really anticipation. You want to talk about confidence. When you start seeing it and reading it and knowing that, hey, it's just football and I'm just playing the game that I love, and I understand that, what I'm seeing is what is really evolving, that's when those kind of plays happen. And, I mean, he read that play like it was no one's business and made a nice breakup on a pass that would have been a touchdown. And so I think Traden Stukes, a lot of people have asked questions about him because he was a second-round pick. What's going on with him? How is he evolving? How's he coming together? But I do believe he's starting to emerge and starting to make a little bit of noise. And, again, it was just a couple practices. We'll start to see what it looks like when they go up against other opponents. That'll probably be the big question. And that goes with not just the corners and the secondary, but that goes with the wide receivers as well. I've been looking at this secondary from Stokes and Porter and Masses and McCoy, right, Stukes and Johnson, and saying, man, these guys, Taron Johnson, oh, man, these guys look good. These guys are sticky. They're all over these wide receivers. Now, the big question is that the secondary is really that good, or is it the wide receivers are struggling to get open? I won't know that answer. I can't give you that answer. Some will tell you that they got the answer to that, but they can't give you that answer until we see him against someone else. It's impossible. Nobody knows unless you're literally in that building, part of the coaching staff, right? And they know exactly what they're seeing from their players. But from what it looks like, from me standing on the sideline watching, the secondary is great. Malik Benson looks fantastic. Kirk Morrison brought it up on the show yesterday, right? He's looked great in camp so far. Now let me see you do it against another opponent, right? So is that Malik Benson really is shining, really is stepping up and showing his worth as a 6th-round pick and showing that he could be a guy that this team is going to be able to rely on, or is it just going up against his own guys? I know that he, when he spoke earlier today over at the Intermountain Health Performance Center, it was a really good media session, and he talked about the relationship with Fernando and when he started to develop it, and even the conversations that they have now while they're out there on the practice field. So Ari will probably get to that. Maybe we'll get that on tomorrow's show. I know we don't have enough time to play that. I think it was about 8 or 9 minutes. So we'll probably get Malik Benson on. Brandy Flores, our teammate who was over there, she was talking to Clint Kubiak. She was talking to Malik Benson. She was talking to Mike Washington. Hit me up immediately and said, hey, that was really good. Benson was really good. You guys should get that on the show. But I don't think that you guys will have enough time given the way that the show was structured today. So we'll try to get that in tomorrow for sure. So we do want to hear from you, 702-365-9200. What are your biggest takeaways from the first unofficial depth chart, with the understanding it's unofficial and it's 90 men, not 53? 702-365-9200. Would love to hear from you. Like Just Win Will, hit us on the text line. Q, you know what I'm looking for? What is that back 7 going to look like? Or what is that front 7 going to look like? Walker and Dean can't do it alone. Are the defensive linemen dropping back, or DB staying closer to the line? That's what I'm looking for. Have a great show, fam. Go Raiders. That's from Just Win Will. East Oakland Raiders say, what up, money? Can't argue with the chart. Too much pretty on point. Want to be out there today, but got to build America. So, see y'all season opener. We're going to the torch, baby. So East Oakland Raiders basically says he agrees with the depth chart at this stage of the game. Let's see. Barry in Baltimore. What up, Q and Ari? I do appreciate you bringing on fantasy people on to talk fantasy football, even though that's not your thing. You're a man of the people. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, look, everything ain't for me. Everything ain't for you. Like, that's the beauty of it. That's what I try to tell people all the time when they complain about things. I don't like this. I don't like that. Okay, well, everything's not for you. Everything's not for me. But someone does. There's a lane. There's a lane, and that's what we do. If it was all based off just what I wanted to do, I would do all kind of different things, right? But there's, I understand that there's plenty of people that love fantasy football, and that's how some people, honestly, as much as I don't do it, it has become a really good tool for people to learn the game and learn multiple players around the league. I think it's been great for that. Because people that wouldn't be locked in on what the wide receiver for the Cardinals is doing, or the wide receiver for the Giants are doing, or whoever's on their fantasy football team, I mean, there's people that lock in, and I can't tell you how many times I mentioned someone's name, and Ari will say, oh, man, yeah, he was on my fantasy team. He wasn't this, or he wasn't that. Or, man, he was on my fantasy team, and he did really well. So I feel like it's helped some people learn more about the game that might not have been as locked in as well. So, I mean, there's always good things to come from everything. You just have to have an open mind about stuff. So, long answer to a short question. You're welcome. You're welcome, and I understand that, like I said, everyone loves fantasy football. It's just, like I said, it's not in my bag, but that's okay. How about this one from Sean in the 916? It's always great to hear from Sean. He says, Q, if I take away the selection in which he was picked and I just take the player for who he is, Jack Bech could be a great asset to our offense and even our team as a whole. If you're telling me Jack is going to block like hell for Genty or even on the end around for Tucker and can move the chains, should that be needed too? I'm good with that. In fact, I love that. Not to mention he could be huge for us on special teams, maybe like Mac Hollins was for us. Also, maybe if we lose Mayer next year, we can move Bech to tight end alongside Brock. All these trades should Jack actually deliver on them, will be loved by Raider Nation, 100%. God bless, go Raiders. P.S. Will today's practice be televised anywhere at all, like YouTube or anything? And I don't think it'll be aired anywhere unless the Raiders put it on Raiders.com. I don't think it's going to be on any kind of, TV station or anything because it's not a game. It's just a practice. So I don't expect that. If I hear something, though, I'll definitely pass that along and let you know. And sometimes what your approach that you're taking to Jack Bech and take away when he was drafted, sometimes you have to do that and just see a player for what they are. And you might end up looking back and saying, okay, maybe he was drafted too high, but man, he turned out to be a hell of a player. If that's the case, who cares? right? If he turns out to be a really good player and is able to do everything that you lined up and you talked about, that's a win. You won't talk about when he was drafted in 2 or 3 years, especially if he's re-signing the contract. He's a key part of your team. I think he's a really good player that can continue to move the chains. I think he's going to be a very good possession receiver, and I believe that most of us thought when they drafted him to take the place of Jacoby Myers, who was in a contract dispute. And even though Jacoby was my guy and I didn't want to see him get traded, I wanted him to get paid, and I thought that he had a really good role for this team long term, they thought otherwise. And so I thought that Jack Bech, that was the reason why they drafted him to begin with, was to fill that void. So, we'll see. We'll see what he ends up doing. I just know he didn't do a lot last year, but what he was able to do was get enough catches and keep moving the chains. So that gave me a glimpse on, okay, that's something he can do, right? He just has to get a little bit more opportunity to get some burn. Not many rookies that weren't named Ashton Genty got too much burn last year. Even Tonka Hemingway, who's now running with the ones, he only got a couple games under his belt towards the end of the season. He just made the most of it for sure. So, Sean, really good text, man. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. It's good to hear from you. Let's get one quick call, and then we'll take a quick break as we're here live at Allegiant Stadium. Let's go out to our guy, Charles in Oregon, who's here in Vegas. Charles, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Q? And I am so excited to come to the practice tonight. I'm so pumped. One of the things that you had asked a question about the depth chart, and I think it's really cool, that interview that you did with Darian Porter, and just hearing what he has to say, that video showing that, he was talking smack with the offense a little bit, and he was a lot quieter last year. So I see the opportunity for the year 2 guys like Bech, like Porter. Hey, it's an unofficial depth chart, but you're at the top. So what are you going to do? And it's like getting an extra bonus present besides this year's draft picks, because we still don't know what we can get out of those year 2 guys. So I'm really excited to see what they show tonight, and especially what they show on Thursday, man. I got a question for you, too.
Okay.
I got a question for you, too. So do you know what time gates open and that are going to let us in tonight?
Actually, I do. Hold on. Let me I got that information not too long ago. Hold on. Let's see. I'm reading it. Okay. Parking lot I got you. Parking lot opens at 3:30. Stadium entry gates open and bag checks at 4:30. 6 o'clock training camp practice begins. 8 p.m. practice ends. Boom. There it is. Look at that. One-stop shop.
Okay, awesome, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm hoping to connect with you and Link and Vince and Clay and everybody out there. So looking forward to tonight. God bless. You guys have a great night, and I'll see you soon, hopefully.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, man. Be safe out there. Look forward to the conversation. It's Charles right there in Oregon, but by way of Vegas, he's in town right now for the game. And, again, Raiders.com, $5 will get you in. It's going to the Raiders Foundation, which is a really good, foundation. And, like I said, if you can get into this beautiful place that I'm sitting in right now at Allegiant Stadium for $5, why wouldn't you do it? So make sure you make that happen. 702-365-9200. We want to keep hearing from you. What are your biggest takeaways from the first unofficial depth chart, with the understanding it's only unofficial and it's 90 men, not 53? Let us know your thoughts. 702-365-9200. We'll hear from you and Decam Richardson next here on RaiderNation Radio 920.
That was the opening drive of Unnecessary Roughness on RaiderNation Radio 920 AM. Brought to you by Paul Padala. It's not about the injury. It's about the recovery.
They're competing, but you're not lined up out there against the other guy. So in the room, it's like you're competing against yourself, the other guy. If he made a play, you want to make a play. They all are such different players in how they play corner. It's nice to see the brotherhood in there and then watch them out here competing, trying to help each other. How do you see this? How do you do that? It's really how it's going.
Just seeing these young guys kind of learn as they go, it kind of reminds me, as myself when I was a younger guy too, just kind of seeing the areas for growth, and come back the next day and you can see the difference in the growth from each guy. So it's pretty cool to see.
Right now, we're doing football right on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Meineke, doing car care right.
And as we do football right, we come into the sounds of Robbie Leonard, Raiders defensive coordinator, talking about the defensive back room and how they all support each other. And then you hear what Jeremy Chin had to say about the young secondary and how it reminds him of when he was a young dude in the league. So we're going to get to one of those young dudes in the league, and Decam Richardson. He's now in his 3rd year, and to me, looks really good so far during training camp. Obviously, there's still a long ways to go, but probably has looked the best that he's looked in his career so far, probably at his best right now. Now, again, There's moments where we said he looked good, and then he kind of went away. And then, now there's the time that it is right now. We'll see what he does once the game gets started coming up on Thursday and throughout the course of training camp. It's Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Now, I got to tell you a quick story first, Ari, if you don't mind.
Oh, I love it.
Because right now I'm catching my breath. And you're probably wondering, well, how the hell are you catching your breath? What did you just do? So we took a little bit longer of a break there because we ran into a situation. And I want those out there to you first. What are your biggest takeaways from the first unofficial depth chart with the understanding it's unofficial and it's 90 men, not 53? So the situation that we ran into, I'm here at Allegiant. I'm here in the home radio booth on the 4th floor. I want you to keep that in mind, 4th floor. So as I said, we had a wristband for training camp to get in. And when I got here, the wristband that I still have on my arm didn't work. I had to have my credential. And luckily I had my credential, so I was able to get in, got up here, got the show going. We're good to go. Our tag team partner, Brandy Flores, who I've mentioned multiple times on the show, came over from the Raider facility. I have her credential in my hand. I have it in my possession. So she goes to the front with her wristband on, thinking she's going to slide into Allegiant Stadium. And no, she gets denied. So during the commercial break, the genius plan was, Q, run all the way outside to where to where security is at and give Brandy her credential and run back before the commercial break is over. So Ari did me a solid and extended the break a little bit to give me a couple minutes to make it happen. But as you can tell, I'm a little tired. I'm a little winded, but I made it. I made it happen. Maybe all the 100-yard walks I've been doing during training camp, recapping practice, that Ryan Hogue, our good friend, former Raider wide receiver, said, oh, Q, what are you talking about, man? You're tired. You're winded at the 50-yard line. Well, maybe those paid off. Maybe your boy is in midseason form right now, because I successfully ran from the 4th floor to the elevator, down to the 1st floor, hauled tail outside, went all the way to where the security check-in is, gave Brandy her credential and said, I'll see you when I see you. Peace, I'm out, and ran back. And the only problem is I only cut it short because the elevator stopped on every floor on the way up. I text Ari. I said, I'm in the elevator. That was on the 100 level. Then all of a sudden, ding, 200. Ding, 250. Ding. I was like, are you serious? We got to stop at every stinking stop here, and we did. Then I got to the 400, and a gentleman that got on 300, and he said, man, you tired? And I said, yeah, a little bit. And I started explaining to him what I did, and he was like, oh, that's cool. I said, yeah, it's cool that I'm still alive. And all I could think of while I'm running back from outside the security, I was like, don't trip, don't fall, don't pull a hammy. If any of those things happen, it's going to be a wrap. And then Ari's going to be stuck doing the show by himself, and they're going to wonder whatever happened to Q. Q's laid out outside on the ground like in, what was that, in Coming to America when they said it's a damn shame what they did to that dog? They're going to make an outline around my body.
Wow, that's great.
Here lies Q.
That is a great reference. Yep, local Raiders.
Yeah, exactly. Radio flagship host is passed out outside of Allegiant Stadium, and they left the outline in chalk.
Oh, yeah. My goodness. Yeah, that wouldn't be too great for your prospective sideline reporting career either.
Exactly. So apparently I'm in good enough shape to get it done.
You did, yeah. Behind the scenes,
I made it. Not going to lie, little winded, but that's okay. That's not an easy, quick, short, right outside the front door, and then come back.
No.
So I made it happen. So I feel pretty good about myself.
Yeah. No, it was impressive. I was getting a little. I was probably more nervous than you.
And I made it with hustling. What, 30 seconds to spare?
Yeah, technically like 45. So.
Okay, there you go. So
you do anything in radio. It's
I had a little bit of time to spare, but I was able to pull it off. So here we go. So that's the story. We don't keep anything from you here. We're all one big family. We tell it how it is, and that's exactly how it was.
So we don't have to flush that performance, thankfully. That is good news.
No. And then, of course, Ari, I say all the time that it be your own people, right?
Oh, boy.
My guy Vegas just hit me with the text and said, good thing there wasn't a wet floor.
Yep.
And there's a story behind that. I may or may have not allegedly slipped on a wet floor one night while I was hanging out. Just going to throw it out there like that. So, of course, it'd be your own people that want to throw you under the bus every chance that they get. So Jess just threw the wet floor at me, and Ryan Hogue would be the guy with the truck that would back up and run me over while I'm still laying there. Oh, what was that? Oh, that was Q? Oh, well, tough break. See?
Mid-season form. already.
Exactly. Again, it be your own people. But, hey, that's what we're here for on RaiderNation Radio 920. And Necessary Roughness, we got Lincoln Kennedy going to join us coming up at the top of the hour, 3 o'clock, to talk about what he'll be looking for coming up on Thursday, what his expectations are, get the early look on body language. I know he'll be really studying that tonight while the scrimmage is going on, and just kind of the early vibes he's getting on this team led by Clint Kubiak and the makeup of this team. So it'll be great to catch up with Lincoln. We'll do that coming up at 3 o'clock. We do want to hear from you at 702-365-9200. Again, what are your biggest takeaways from the first unofficial depth chart, with the understanding it's unofficial and it's 90 men, not 53. Give us your thoughts at 702-365-9200. But as we do football right, I did want you to hear my conversation one-on-one with third-year guy Decam Richardson.
Here with Decam Richardson after practice, and Decam, how's it been so far? It looks like you're looking really comfortable out there.
Yeah, it's been going really good. Been out there going in meets and taking it to the field and just keep on getting better and better each and every day.
What has it been like with Rob Leonard now being the defensive coordinator and just his different ideas and his thumbprint he's put on this defense?
It's really good. I like the scheme that we running, and it put me in a lot of man situations, which I like. I can get up there and press and create. It's hard to get separation.
Are you playing with more confidence right now than we've seen you with so far?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I done through the years I done came up, seeing different things, understanding the game a lot more. It put me in a better situation to go out there and know the game and know what to do.
What has this dynamic in that secondary room been like? They had so many new guys come in, and then Eric Stokes comes back as well.
Yeah. It's been good, especially seeing E come back. He's a vet that's been here, so he done seen a lot of things and taking game from him and just from everybody in the room. Even rookies, we all come together, put everything together, and we take all that in and bring it to the field and help out.
Seems like you guys have a real brotherhood out there. Even after you make a play, the way you guys celebrate, it seems like you guys are literally one group.
Yeah, we are. That's from going out to eat and everything. We try to do everything as a group, so we get on the field we all be connected as one.
This is what, year four for you?
Going on year 3.
Going on year 3. How quickly did that go by?
It went by real quick.
You a vet now.
Yeah, like a blink of an eye.
Yeah, that's wild. But you're continuing to grow and you continue to build, and I know you got a game on Thursday. What's it going to be like going up against someone else that's not wearing silver and black?
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm ready to do it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What about this coaching staff led by Clint Kubiak? It's his first training camp. To me, I keep saying he doesn't seem like a first-time head coach. What have you thought from him?
I really like him. It's been really good out here, the way he come out and his demeanor, the way he handle things, his time meetings and everything. I really like him.
Seems like everybody's going in the same direction as well. Do you get that same sense? You've been around multiple coaching staffs now. Have you got that same sense as well?
Yeah, I really feel that. I feel that.
Yeah. Where does that, how does that, go through the whole locker room?
It's just about buying in, and I'm feeling like everybody's starting to buy in and taking everybody taking that step in the right direction to do what we need to do to win.
What have you seen from the offensive side of things? Obviously, there's new quarterbacks throwing the rock. You got Cousins, you got Mendoza, O'Connell. You know him, but just what is that like going up against those guys in practice every day?
That's good. The offense, they got some good routes and stuff they do. They got some nice things they do.
You look like you're just excited and ready to go play.
Yeah, I'm ready to do it.
Well, good luck on Thursday, my man.
I appreciate
you.
Okay.
Decam Richardson right there, and I'm telling you, and we had the video up on our YouTube page, RaiderNation Radio 920 AM. If not up there yet, it will be in a matter of minutes. His look on his face, he had such a big smile. And that goes back to my conversation, my point of confidence. When you're confident in what you're doing, when you're out there having a good time with what you're doing, when you believe that you're doing it the right way and you're making an impact, how do you not smile? How do you not smile? That's why I know that he's in a place that he hasn't been in for a while. And as you could tell, he's not the most talkative. He's not going to sit there and give me bars like, Mike Washington Jr. or Darian Porter or others are going to, be real talkative, Caleb Rogers. And that's okay. You just have to understand who you're talking with. But, again, more importantly than what he's saying, it's the way that he's moving and the way he's acting and the way that he carries himself with confidence. You could tell someone who's confident and someone who's not. Someone who's not confident is kind of ease into things and, kind of look over their shoulder, look like they second-guess themselves. Maybe they question others. He's out there playing free. And I like what he said about the scheme and allowing him to play something that's more comfortable for him. And he talked about man and pressing because Jamad McCoy had mentioned that yesterday when he stepped to the podium. I believe Adam Hill had asked him about about, him having confidence getting back out there and playing and what do you think about, the scheme and what they're asking him to do. And he said, this is stuff I've done in college. I like to play man. I like to bump them at the line of scrimmage. I like to be able to play that man press coverage and then mix in some zone as well. And I don't know about you, Raider Nation, but how much have we talked about that? How much have we talked about when the Raiders were at their finest when it came to the secondary? They were normally, the majority of the time, what? Bump and run. That's what the Raiders were known for, was that bump and run coverage. I remember talking to Eric Allen as, when he was getting ready to go to Canton, Ohio to the Hall of Fame. He had mentioned just his journey and how he arrived with the Raiders and what he realized when he got to the Raiders. He said, look, this is what these guys are. This is who these guys are. Bump and run, man-to-man, press cover. And he started pointing out all the different greats that had come through this building and come through this organization as those kind of corners and said, I knew that I was going to do a lot of that when I got to Oakland. And he did. And I'm not saying that they're going to go 100% to that, but I get excited when I hear that, they're going to – that's part of the game plan. And I do think that that's a great way for these corners to get comfortable, especially if they're able to, get that jam. Like we were talking after practice one day, just a bunch of us, the media guys, that we were talking about the jam at the line of scrimmage. That's awesome, as long as you jam them. If you don't jam them, then they're going to get past you and you're going to get cooked. But if you get that jam at the line of scrimmage and really get a good jam, that's going to throw off the timing of the route, which gives a guy like Max Crosby more time to get home, gives a guy like Tonka Hemingway more time to get home, Adam Butler, same thing. If there's one more second for Max, how much damage is he going to do? And if Max is able to get home 1 second earlier, vice versa, how much is that going to help the corners? That's why I always love the press man coverage. I understand why a lot of teams go strictly zone and have their eyes in the backfield and they're able to see ball and get ball, but that hasn't worked for the Raiders. So why don't you do a little something different? And it sounds like that's what they're going to be doing. It sounds like we're in for a lot of man coverage, a lot of bump and run, which is music to my ears. I'm here for it. I want to see it. But it's going to be versatile. It's not going to be just one style straight up, Namdi on one side and Seawood on the other. It's not going to be that. It's going to be, multiple things that Robbie Leonard's going to be able to implement for this Raiders defense. But that's one of the big storylines for this team. We talk about it all the time on the show, what these different storylines are when it comes to this team and how there's so many of them, not just name the quarterback, not just Fernando Mendoza, but there's a lot of new with this team, and this new identity on defense is going to be one of them as well. We want to keep hearing from you at 702-365-9200. We got this text from Sir Whiskey Ray. What's up, gentlemen? Fantastic topic today. Here I go. My take is that I expect some more shuffling of the depth chart as we now get into these players battling out in pads. I love the competition. I want to see these players step up their game. Give me the guys who want to make a difference on the field. On another note, I'm glad to hear we'll have some fantasy football talk today. I'll admit I have fantasy football problem as I have 6 teams. LOL. I can't help it. I love it. Thanks, gentlemen. Cheers, Sir Whiskey Ray. That's incredible. How many does Adam have? I know Adam Hill is a maniac when it comes to fantasy football. Ari, how many does he have?
I don't know officially, but like in the past, I remember saying like, "What do you have? Like 10 or something?" And I swear he said like 27 or some ridiculous number like that. Like
that is you said it right. That is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I did two years last season. Yeah, and
normally I would say if someone has 10 fantasy football teams, I'd say you need to get a job. But Adam does so much. Adam is so busy around town, so it's not like he's just sitting around bored. Just to have that many fantasy football teams, up to 27, yeah, he's an absolute maniac. But he knows his stuff. If you want to ever learn some fantasy football, get some knowledge on fantasy football, talk to Adam Hill. He's got it all. I mean, he used to do features on the station all the time. Fantasy football, just give us, guys to look out for, guys that you need to add to your team, all that good stuff. He is locked in on that. And that's, if you're going to do it. Go all in. And he does go all the way in. And to your point about the competition and what these guys all look like as they're competing in pads and, more importantly, going up against another team, that's going to be huge moving forward, that's for sure. Snake Man said, Q, Telesco should be applauded for his 2024 class. To date, his first 6 draft picks are currently rostered. Bowers, JPJ, Glaze, Richardson, Eichenberg, and Lobby, with the first 3 being starters. If memory serves, that's the best hit rate in many years. Still early to gauge, but if Spytek and crew can at least continue that rate of return of investment, Raiders are on their way. Yeah, I think that Tom Telesco doesn't get enough props. I know most people were mad because, well, he didn't get the quarterback. The Raiders needed a quarterback, and he didn't go get a quarterback. He didn't have a chance to get a quarterback. He didn't have a chance to get the quarterback that the head coach at the time wanted, Antonio Pierce. AP had his mind on one QB, and he went number two to the Washington Commanders. That's who AP wanted. AP wanted him to move the heavens and earth to find a way to get Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels was the guy that was in the Raiders' locker room after they beat Denver that Week 17 game. Or Week 18 game, but 17, that's that 17th game of the season. That was the guy. And I remember even at the scouting combine, it's like, hey, what do you need? Well, it's up to Telesco to go get the quarterback. Like, that was AP's words. It's time to go get the quarterback. They weren't able to do that. But they got Brock Bowers. To your point, they got JPJ. They got DJ Glaze. All those guys were starters immediately out the gate. That is a really good hit rate, especially if you go back and look at the history of the Raiders and what they've done with their draft classes. Now, JPJ, obviously there's questions when it comes to, availability. DJ Glaze, since he stepped on the field, he's been steady Eddie and been right there. Did he take a slight step back last year? Sure. But everybody took a slight step back. But ever since he stepped foot on the field, he hasn't come off. Right? Lobby's been a good special teams guy. I think we all had expectations that he'd get a little burn on offense. It didn't happen, but okay. And Decam Richardson, all of a sudden, year 3 is coming into his own. So I think you're right. I think Tom Telesco did a good job for the 1 year and someone else's staff that he was working with in order to try to get this coaching staff in point. What you got, Ari?
I texted Adam real quick. He said, we'll probably be in the 60s.
Shut up.
He doesn't. There's no LOL or anything. I even told him, why I'm asking. We're just having fun, and that was his answer.
60 fantasy football teams.
I mean, I imagine there's some cross. I got this. Maybe you draft the same on a couple teams, so you have some.
There's no way.
But my God, yeah.
There's no way. I don't think there's 60 of anything that I could do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't
60 radio shows. Maybe
oh
6,
no,
man.
No. That's insane. That is wild. But see, that again, that's the dedication that Adam has when it comes to fantasy football. And you will hear all things fantasy football at 4 o'clock when Liz Loza from ESPN Fantasy, she will join the show. Lincoln Kennedy, he's up next. We kick off hour number 2 of the show live from Allegiant Stadium, where the Raiders will be in practice tonight at 6 p.m. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
Doing football right on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Meineke. Doing car care right.
Honestly, I feel like it's still going to be practice at the end of the day. It's just in a different location. But I feel like it's going to help a lot on Thursday, just getting used to the lights and everything like that. I'm obviously going to have a wow moment just because I've never been in that stadium with a helmet on. But I'm just going to have to snap out of it and just know that, we're here to practice. We're here to win the game on Thursday.
Really looking forward to it. It's been, some time since, I put on the pads and went against, another team. Last game, I really played was last game of the Arkansas season, and that was some time ago. So really looking forward to it.
Las Vegas Raiders analyst Lincoln Kennedy is live on Unnecessary Roughness right now on RaiderNation Radio 920.
We kick off hour number 2 of the show live from Allegiant Stadium, and we do talk to the big fella, Lincoln Kennedy, who joins us now on the phone lines. And Big Link, thanks so much for your time here on RaiderNation Radio 920. We appreciate you, and I know it's a preseason game, and I know everyone's going to say it's only a preseason game on Thursday, but Link, we're about as close as it gets to actual football, man. How's it feel to just about be back?
Oh man, it's long overdue. We sit here and talk about how short the off season is, and then we get to the training camp. But the NFL does it too on purpose. If you think about it, you think about when the Super Bowl is played, followed by the combine, you get ready for the draft. Then you talk about OTAs and mini camps and everything else, and then you build up the training camp. Then you get into training camp, you can't wait for preseason football. So the NFL has been able to manifest a year-round thirst for NFL action, and I can't wait for it to happen.
So what are you going to be looking for tonight? It's just a practice, a scrimmage, whatever you want to call it, but it's here in the stadium. It'll look like a dress rehearsal, and there'll be fans here. What will your eyes be on tonight?
Well, first of all, back in the day, we used to call this Fan Day, Fan Appreciation Day, when we did something for the fans in a place. And, of course, with the heat being the way it is, it just makes sense to do it in Allegiant Stadium. They've had fans out to practices, but they really opened it up to a number of fans by doing it in Allegiant. So to answer your question, Q, what I'm looking for is ultimately I'm looking for communication, and I'm looking for the smoothness of the style of play. When the plays are called, whether they executed good, bad, or indifferent, just a prelude to come for the preseason. Because, you and I are still guessing how Clint Kubiak's going to play this preseason. Does he do it vanilla? Does he really get the coaches into creating a game plan? Does he really want to show anything that's a part of the Raiders' attack on both sides of the ball, put it on film for other teams to explore and be able to take advantage of? It's anyone's guess. But, for the fan standpoint and for our standpoint, from the media part, we get a chance to see this team in action, and hopefully they can give us as close to full speed, game speed, as they can.
Lincoln Kennedy is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920 Unnecessary Roughness. This is, a dress rehearsal or a fan day, and preseason's coming up starting on Thursday. But that's not just for the players. It's also for the coaches. How beneficial will this be for Clint Kubiak and company, since this is the first time as a unit that they're working together like this?
Well, that's just what's going to be able to showcase. It's really a dress rehearsal, if you will, for Thursday night. A lot of these coaches will probably be new to Allegiant Stadium, and the style of way it goes for game day is for all these guys coming together. So it's everyone getting familiar, from team, coaches, to staff, on how it should go game day, how things are going to be played. So everyone gets a chance to see what it's worth.
You always talk about body language and buy-in, and you want to be able to see it from the players. And I know the other day you were at practice, you said it's only been one practice. How long does it normally take for you to get a good understanding of where this team is at?
I would say in this day and age, it really doesn't happen until the regular season for me.
Okay.
It's probably a month in the regular season. The reason why I say that is because what if Clint Kubiak comes out and game plans every game, and we see the Raiders struggle or they don't win a game? How much can we take into assessment of that? And we're talking about the possible line combinations. We got to see them full speed. We're talking about all these things that are imperative for this team to be more competitive. I don't know if we see that this early, but I do feel that we'll see that their identity after the first month of football. However, until we get there, we get a little bit of a dress rehearsal. We'll get a chance to see what this team's about, get a chance to see its star power, and more importantly, get a chance to entertain the fans.
We were talking to Michael Mayer a couple days ago, and he said that, everyone is swimming in the right direction. They're all swimming together. They're all seeing eye to eye on the same page. And he said, we have to make sure that we're able to maintain that, especially when adversity hits. How difficult is that, Lincoln, to be able to maintain that being on the same page when that adversity hits?
Well, you've been on many teams in your past and athletic career, and so have I. It's important to build chemistry through success as well as things that are challenging. If you lose a game, if somebody gives up a big play and it costs you the games, how do you feel about it? This team chemistry is a very interesting build. Now, they've been doing it since mini camps and after the draft, pretty much had their team set, and the starters have created a little bit of a distance between them and a lot of the backups. But there are a lot of positions around this team that are still up for grabs. So maybe the lights come on, brings the best out of the player. You have to see. You have to see how they react. You have to see how they treat that said adversity when it comes down to it. All in chords to try to beat Arizona on Thursday night. They're just trying to work their way up to it.
We got our first hands on the first unofficial depth chart. What do you read into the depth chart, if anything, at this stage of the game?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's just really, this, Hugh. You've been doing this for a long time. It's really nothing more to just give the people something to look at, something to be able to identify with, and that's how it happens on game day. You pretty much know the depth chart, but you need to question who might be starting. I know a lot of people are wondering where number 15 is on the depth chart, whether they'll get to see him tonight and how much they're going to get a chance to see him. So there are a lot of questions, but I put no inference into this depth chart right now. This means nothing.
What do you think about this competition along the offensive line? We know where Colton Miller stands. We know where Tyler Linderbaum stands. And then I feel like everyone else is kind of open for discussion and competition. How do you see this competition shaking out?
I'm hoping that the bright lights turned on the best of these competitors. You know what I mean? And no matter what collection they put together for the offensive line, when Cole Miller is in there, when Tyler's in there, when all these guys are playing together, you just want to see them come alive and want to see them do something. Look, we just want this team to be competitive. And they're going up against a very stingy defense, a capable defense led by the Condor, number 98. Does he create a wreck all over practice? Does he shine like that, like we've seen him do in practices before? Or is there some way to contain him? I don't know. We won't know until we see it tonight.
What about just seeing this offensive line come together and trying to learn this new blocking scheme and come together as quickly as possible so we're not 4 or 5 weeks into the season saying, well, who's the starting five or what's the identity of this team?
Well, you got to have a truly athletic offensive line to do the long stretch zone scheme, and I think the Raiders have that. Now they just have to come together and play. So it's important every time they get a chance to go out that they can do things together and see how they flow together, whether you use the fullback, 2 tight ends, whatever outside combination, this offensive line is going to stay the same. They have to play together.
Lincoln Kennedy is with us here at RaiderNation Radio 920. We had a question on our text line about Colton Miller. How do you see Colton fitting in this? Is he athletic enough, in your opinion, to get this done?
Yes, I do believe he is. He just has to stay healthy. And you remember over the last couple of years, he's had some injuries that have cost him a lot of parts of the season, and he's getting up there in age. He's just got to find a way to stay healthy. I don't say the Raiders go for a load management just yet, but we have seen it done with, say, San Francisco and Trent Williams and guys like that. I just don't know if the Raiders are there. They have enough at their disposal to have 2 solid offensive lines. You really have to protect not only your possible starters, but their possible backups as well. And that, to me, comes with the Caleb Rogers, depending on how they use them, or, Charles Grant, as well as Trey Zoom.
I know JPJ, his biggest thing is availability, but how much is it going to help him, in your opinion, that at least he knows where he stands? He knows there's not a center, right guard, maybe a left guard. He knows if he's out there, he's the right guard. How much will that help him just kind of knowing where he stands?
It should help him focus and maybe control a lot of the issues that we've had, not only when the plays are going on, but sometimes when the plays are over with. You can't get stupid penalties before or after the plays. These are things that you have to become better. And more importantly, you have to win over your fellow offensive linemen, your fellow teammates, in the sense of that you are the starter. You want to be viewed as a starter. You remember when they drafted Ashton Genty, he ran up to him and introduced, I'm your center, I'm your guard. From now on, you got to be out there. If you say you're going to do it, then go out there and do it.
Yeah, you're going to have to make sure that you're out there available. Like you said, you can't make the club in the tub, right? People reference that all the time. That's a great saying right there from Lincoln Kennedy, who's with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Flipping over to the defensive side of things real quick, the Raiders brought in a lot of guys on the defense to help Robbie Leonard in his first year as a DC. What have you thought about the additions of Kwity Paye, Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, just to name a few?
They're an active defense. Again, I'm worried about the availability because some of the guys in question have had some injury issues. But I think togetherness, the fact that a lot of these guys play together in Georgia, have that familiarity, will help create some of that chemistry that's necessary on the defensive side. But more importantly, I'm looking at the coverage combinations when it comes down to it. The Raiders offensively, for the sake of this scrimmage, have pieces that can stretch defenses. I'm wanting to see how this defense is going to be able to keep up with some of those set offensive pieces and be able to contain them. Other than the Condor getting pressure, they got to be able to apply coverage and possibly get some turnovers.
I like the secondary and the competition in the secondary. I like the young guys that they brought in. But, Link, I had a chance to talk to Decam Richardson yesterday, and he just seems like he's in a really good place. It's year 3, and he looks like he's out there playing with confidence. Could this be the year that things click for him? And obviously we'll see the first thing on Thursday when he gets to play in a real game.
I certainly hope so. It's a breakout year for him. I think there's a lot, even though they drafted a number of defensive backs, you've got a pretty full room. I think for guys that have been here and have said this program, they have a little bit more of an understanding, familiarity of how to play within the system, especially knowing Robbie Leonard. Maybe they can just carry over from their experiences in the defense of the years before to what they have now and maybe translate that into more effective play. That's what I'm hoping for.
Lincoln Kennedy with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920, Unnecessary Roughness. We got this question on our text line right now from Greg in New Jersey. He wants to know your thoughts on Max hitting the quarterback a couple times, hitting his arm. What are your thoughts, especially from an offensive lineman, knowing, hey, that's my quarterback back there?
Well, as an offensive lineman, I better do a better job of protecting him, right? Now, don't get me wrong. There's absolutely no reason why Max should be anywhere around the quarterback. If you beat a tackle clear off the line of scrimmage and you have a clear shot at the quarterback, we know you're going to get the sack. Just run by. But I understand that Max is at a high level. I also understand that Max wants to get his teammates better. I understand that. But you don't have a tackle on that side, especially the right side, that has the wherewithal to maybe snatch Max by the neck and say, slow your ass down. You're not going to make the team on me. That was the way I handled it back in my day. They don't have that freedom, so you've got to find a way to do it. More importantly, Max has got to be a better professional. All you're doing is hurting your team if they can't prepare or do what they want to do because you're such a distraction or you're such an influence on the defense. Do what you got to do. Show that you're free. We know that you're a great player. There's no starting that. Just don't stymie the play because we get nothing out of it.
What does that do for the rest of the players? Like Michael Mayer said, I want to see my quarterback fighting. I want Kirk Cousins to fight back. What does that do for the rest of the locker room when you see a little dust up like they had?
Well, I mean, look, it can be good it can bring locker rooms together. It can also separate them. Careful how you word it. Well, I want to see my quarterback fight. What happens if Max gets too close and he hits that elbow and Kirk Cousins is out?
Right.
Is that good for the quarterback? Is that good for the team? No. It does nobody any good if you be anywhere around the quarterback. That's why every coach has put a different jersey on the quarterback. Every coach has said stay away from the quarterback. There are going to be times in the heat of the moment and have 11-on-11 or team drills where there's going to be the pocket is going to collapse. You're going to see a guy come free. Just run right by. Clear. Give the quarterback plenty of space. We'll see on the film that you beat him. Don't get anywhere near the quarterback to disrupt the play because that means it's a wasted offensive play. It's probably a waste for the defense getting a look. It just serves nobody, no purpose.
So what did you think when you saw that Clint Kubiak held both guys out on Saturday and let Fernando Mendoza get the first team reps?
I didn't mind it. I mean, I kind of expected it. Look, you're a coach. A new coach is also coming in trying to set his influence and and show that he's serious about this. So you set them both down, and it's no harm in giving veterans a day off.
Right. Yeah, that's what my dad said. He was like, hey, man, if the veterans got a day off, they're not going to be too mad. They ain't out there in 100-degree weather working.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Pops always knows. You know how that goes.
Mm-hmm. No, true story. Right there with you.
Absolutely. Well, great stuff as always, Link. Man, I look forward to seeing you. And, of course, we'll be back on the show tomorrow morning bright and early. So I definitely appreciate you this afternoon.
Thanks for the plan, my man. I'll talk to you soon, all right? Be good.
All right, you do the same. Great stuff right there. Lincoln Kennedy, Raider Squad Show, Locked On Podcast Network. Of course, broadcast partner. He'll be doing the pregame and postgame show with me during the preseason. Really look forward to that and learning some more, getting some more nuggets from Big Link, the professor we like to call him for a reason because he's always teaching class. And Greg, really good text. Really good text. His text exactly was, Q, I'm curious as how Lincoln feels about Max's level of effort where as he hits the quarterback during training camp. This isn't the first time he's done it. Pretty sure he hit others in the past. Don't care about the media angle making it a big deal, but more his feeling about it being acceptable, at least until this season. That's Greg in New Jersey. Thought that was a really good question. I tried to word it the best way I could to make it make sense and try to shorten it up a little bit, and I felt like Link gave a fantastic answer. And, the one thing I could tell you from being on the sidelines there at practice every single day, every single time that Max gets near the quarterback or he beats, an offensive lineman, it's going to be a sack. Me, Paul, Link, Sam Gordon, Vinny, whoever, Adam Hill, whoever is there, Brandy, we always say, that's a sack. That's a sack. Like, you don't have to, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to actually hit the quarterback for us to say, oh, that would have been a sack. That would have been a sack, right? And then sometimes, if as long as there's nobody gets hit, then they'll extend it. Like maybe Fernando will keep rolling out, or Aiden O'Connell will decide to run, or he'll scramble a little bit and still throw the ball. That's what Lincoln's talking about it's a rep that's good for the team, right? Even though it was a sack, and we know that, okay, that wouldn't have been – there was a big play that happened the other day. I'm trying to remember who it was, but it was a deep ball, and it was connected, and Masses got beat, and we all looked because they took it back. Well, it would have been a sack. That's why it wasn't a big play, but they still continue on with the rep just to get the rep in. So that's what Lincoln's trying to say, and his his point of it is of a wasted rep if you you hit the quarterback and you don't let things happen. So I thought that was a really good question, really good way to use the text line, man. Definitely do appreciate that at 702-365-9200. We do want to continue to hear from you. We got John McClain coming up in about 15 minutes or so here live from Allegiant Stadium, where the Raiders will be on the grass here in their home stadium starting at 6 o'clock for a glorified practice/scrimmage that'll go a couple hours long, a couple hours strong, and only cost you $5 to get in here. Raiders.com. It'll be a $5 donation to the Raiders Foundation, and boom, there you go. You're good to go. You're in the building. Brent in the 702 said Max is just testing Kirk to see if he's about it. He's the leader of the defense, and Kirk's the leader of the offense. I mean, sure, you can say that, but I think that Kirk has already proven what he is. And I know that's everyone can't say that because they're not out there seeing it every day. But I've seen the leadership from Kirk Cousins. I've seen what he means for this team right now. And I'm not in the camp of saying he's the end-all, be-all, and he's the greatest quarterback ever, and he's going to lead the Raiders to the promised land. Like, I would be foolish to go there. But what I've seen so far from Kirk Cousins, I think has been pretty positive. And it looks like he has a really good demeanor with the team. He's got a really good understanding of the offense, how things could be ran. There's been multiple times where I looked at whoever's sitting next to me or standing next to me and said, hey, that's something that Fernando can't do just yet. And that just shows, his leadership and how long he's been in the league and what he's able to do and the respect that he commands. And look, make no mistake about it, Max has plenty of respect for Kirk as well. I mean, he said it himself. And Kirk has plenty of respect for Max. It's just two dudes, going at it in training camp, practice number 8, 9, whatever it was, and it's hot out there, and it's everyone's got to be, as Lincoln just said, it's just got to be better pros, right? And of course, Kirk Cousins isn't want to get his arm hit, and Max is going to go and push the line as much as he can, or much he's going to go get to the line as much as he can with the efforts of trying not to go over it. And every once in a while it does happen, but it is something that happens at least once during training camp each and every year. And it's just Max doing Max type things. But as far as I'm concerned, no harm, no foul at this stage. Nobody got hurt, and the Raiders were able to benefit from it by having Fernando Mendoza get first team reps on Saturday, which gives them an easy kind of glimpse of what he would do if, in fact, for some reason all of a sudden he's just put into the lineup. And that can happen. Remember, in football, you're one play away. You're one play away. Let's see. What else? 702-365-9200. Jersey Dave said, hey, Ari, I missed the beginning of the show. Can you let me know the word of the day? What is the word of the day, Ari?
River. R-I-V-E-R. River.
There you go. There you go. Trip to Hawaii is on the line. You want to get that. Of course, it's the final week of the summer fun brought to you by Terribles. You can take the trip or take the cash. You just got to text that word river to 702-365-9200. You got to get that in before 5 o'clock. KV said 60 is not bad. He's talking about fantasy football teams for Adam Hill. 60 is not bad if he's doing best ball, optimal scoring. You just draft a team, and it sets your lineup with the performances. No week-to-week maintenance, just a one-time draft. All right, well, I don't know. I would be lying to you if I told you exactly what style he was or what league he was in. I just feel like 60 of anything is a little excessive.
Right. Yeah, there's probably, like you said, there's probably some kind of overlap.
It's got to be something.
But again, it's regardless, whatever he's doing full time on that stuff, like the ones that he's really paying attention, it's a lot of work, yeah. And I know it coincides with everything we do, but man, that is quite what do they call it? Labor of love, as you guys call it.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't, yeah, that's what it sounds like to me, a little obsessive, but again, that's just me. Jimmy in Vancouver hit us on the text line. Hey, Q and Ari, lots of good stuff today already on your show. Looking at the list, I can say what makes this year more promising is what appears to be depth in multiple positions. So we should maybe prepare ourselves for a few surprises who the stars will be this year. Some players from last year could find themselves in backup roles or even playing somewhere else when the season starts. Cheers, brothers. That's Jimmy in Vancouver. I think that there's some depth that they're working on, but I don't look at any starters from last year that might not be starters this year. And I guess my only asterisk to that would be maybe at the safety position, Isaiah Pulamau and maybe trading Stukes. But even with that being said, I think that IPA still has I think he has plenty of room to continue to be that guy. I'm looking at that. I'm just kind of glancing over the depth chart really quickly. I mean, Tonka's already with the first team. I guess that would be, a guy that steps up from being a backup role to being, a first teamer. Looking at the rest, like the offensive line, Burford wasn't with the Raiders a year ago. Maybe that competition with Caleb Rogers, if and when he's out there healthy, that's another thing. Besh and Benson. I mean, Benson's obviously a rookie. Besh, didn't get very much burn last year. So yeah, I don't really see anyone that was a starter last year that is all of a sudden going to slide into the 2 slot or even the 3 slot or be released. I feel like that the Raiders do have talent and they're working on their depth, but it's not quite where it needs to be. at this stage of the game, and I think that they need to get another draft or two under their belt, and then they'll be a little bit closer to where they need to be. Diego in Arizona said, I like the depth chart. The experienced free agents are starters and the rookies are second strings. They're not throwing anybody in the fire. They'll get their reps when someone gets injured or they improve their skills to the next level. Okay, appreciate that. We got one from Elgin. What's the word of the day? LOL, and please hold. So the word of the day, again, is river. And he said the depth chart looks like I thought it would. I'm looking to see Caleb Rogers win the starting left guard spot. Also want to see the improvement of the secondary and the young wide receiver core. First preseason game I've been this excited about in a very long time. Yeah, I'm interested in the Caleb Rogers part because we've seen him at practice, and we've seen him in and out with JPJ, and that's been at the right guard spot. So when I initially got this depth chart in my hand, and I'm looking at it, and I see him as the second-team left guard, it kind of caught me off guard, right? I was thinking that Trey Zune was going to battle behind Spencer Burford for that left guard spot. And then instead they have him as the second-team right tackle right now. And so that's, to me, those are probably the two most interesting along the offensive line right now, is that's the way that it's all lined up. And now Caleb Rogers has a little bit of a, slight injury. We saw him, something with the lower leg the other day. We saw him just kind of, I don't want to say get rolled up on, but you see him kind of get hit. So he didn't go to the locker room. He just went to the side and watched the rest of practice. So interesting to see if we see him tonight. That'll be something to pay attention to. Do you see number 76 out there? Is he working the left guard? If he is out there, is he working the right guard spot? Where's Caleb Rogers going to be? Trey Zune, we met with him what's today? Today's Tuesday. So we met with him yesterday. Did we meet with him yesterday or Sunday? I don't remember. No, Sunday we were off. All right. Hey, look, when they start getting the weekends going, I lose complete track of what day it is. I have no idea, because then you get your routine. All right, Friday happens, Saturday, Sunday, you're off, you're good to go. Now you got camp on Saturday. Some days you'll have camp on Sunday. Some days you'll have camp on both. Like, it's all right, man. It's our own problems, man. But it's good problems to have. It's good problems to have. So there's that. Yeah. So Trey Zune was talking about playing multiple different positions and how the fact that he's just trying to maximize and learn whatever the coaches need. That's why I think he's going to be so stinking valuable when game day comes around, because he could play in multiple positions. And as long as he can do a good job at each of those positions, that's like having multiple players on the sideline that you wouldn't be able to have, because it's a numbers game on game day. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting to see Zune, Rogers, first team, second team offensive line tonight out here at Allegiant Stadium, of course, on Thursday as well against the Arizona Cardinals. And then we got John McClain coming up at about 6 minutes from now. Let's go out to San Jose real quick, talk to our guy Robert. Robert, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Thanks for taking my talk. You had a call to Vinny and I kind of went at it Friday, and he brought it up again yesterday on his show, the morning show. And we're talking about Spencer Burford. And I was one thing that caught my eye when they were talking about the depth chart was Caleb Rogers behind Burford at left guard. And I told Vinny that I catch a lot of 49er games, and he told me that no Raider fan watches that many 49er games. I'm like, they're on TV here. My girlfriend's a 49er fan. I have no choice. And I'm a football fan. But anyway, Spencer Burford is a jag, as Vinny used to call him, just a guy. And the 49ers let him walk, and he wouldn't have cost them any money. And to say that he's the best choice we have at left guard, to me, was a little concerning. I know he's got some experience in a similar system in terms of offensive line play, but he got blown up many times against the Rams and the Seahawks, and that's the reason the 49ers let him go. If he's the starting left guard, if he's the best guard we have, then that's a concern at that position. So I'm rooting for Caleb Rogers.
All right, fair. That's a good assessment right there. Robert with the breakdown from San Jose. Thanks for the call. And, yeah, when we did the breakdown, and we did a little bit of research, because I didn't watch a lot of Spencer Burford. I would be lying to you if I said, oh, man, I caught every 49er game and I saw what Spencer Burford did or didn't do. But I understand where you're coming from. They're on TV. You're a football fan. You're going to watch. I get it. I'm watching any football game that's on as well, but I didn't catch a lot of, and I sure wasn't paying attention to Spencer Burford. But what we did when we did our research on him when the Raiders signed him as a free agent, the people that we had on talking about him said he's not great, but he'll push somebody for a starting job, right? Because he practices hard, he does what he's supposed to do. He'll push somebody, and he'll make someone earn that job. So this could be the situation that we're talking about right now. He could be pushing Caleb Rogers or others to earn that job, and that's going to be up to them to go ahead and make that happen. But it's a good observation, a good point that you bring up. Thanks so much for that call. We do appreciate you. Keep that feedback coming at 702-365-9200. What are your biggest takeaways from the first unofficial depth chart? With the understanding it's unofficial, it's 90 men, not 53. Let us know your thoughts on the text line. John McClain, he'll join us next. We talk all things NFL. We're here live at Allegiant Stadium on RaiderNation Radio 920.
I know that there's been ups and downs. Brian Flores' defense is a really challenging one for a quarterback to go up against in a practice setting. The main thing is that whoever lands the job is going to have to earn it. Simple and plain. This year, they wanted to make sure 100% whoever we put out in there in the field is going to best serve the veterans in the locker room because those guys have been through a lot. And, obviously Kevin O'Connell feels Kyler Murray is the best option for now. And this will allow them some time, of course, to ramp up and build towards the season.
It's time for our weekly visit with the Hall of Famer, John McClain. Right now on Unnecessary Roughness with your boy Q.
And we come into the sounds of Albert Breer, Monday morning quarterback on this side. He was on the Rich Eisen show on ESPN talking about Kyler Murray being named QB1 there in Minnesota. That's probably the worst kept secret in the National Football League. The minute that he signed in Minnesota, I believe we all had an idea that Kyler was going to be the starting quarterback, but the Vikings do make that official earlier today. It's Unnecessary Roughness, RaiderNation Radio 920. We're here live at Allegiant Stadium. Raiders will have their fan day, their little glorified scrimmage here on the grass of Allegiant Stadium, and Clint Kubiak will be able to be on the Raiders sideline as the first-time head coach of the Silver and Black later on this evening starting at 6 o'clock. But John McClain joins us now here on the phone lines. And, John, I know it wasn't a surprise to you. Kyler Murray is the starting quarterback in Minnesota. What do you think of the official announcement from the Vikings?
Not much. I'll tell you this. I've heard or read a lot of media people I respect around the country act like he's going to win double digits, and I'm thinking, okay, it'd be great if he did, but what's he done to make you think that?
Right.
Played 4 games last year. When's the last time he played well? Been in the playoffs one time, got beat. I just don't see it. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll go to first place and win the division. I do think Kevin O'Connell is a heck of a coach. They need to trade McCarthy to the Chargers so he can be reunited by Harbaugh and back up Justin Herbert. There won't be any pressure on him and get whatever draft choice they can get out of it because it's obvious they don't think much about him and they blew that pick. I'd be interested to know, did Kevin O'Connell want him and insist on him, or did the GM who was fired last year, did he take him and O'Connell didn't want him coming off that national championship? I haven't seen anything, Q, that told me what went on behind the scenes that caused McCarthy to be there and be a humongous bust. Now, he's a bust with the Vikings, but like other quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield, there's been others, Sam Darnold, they can bounce around from team to team, and eventually they figure it out. They hit in the right system. They got some players around them, but he's got players around him there. And he got a great coach, but he just couldn't stay healthy. He needs a new zip code, and it ought to be in L.A.
What do you think about that division in general? Everyone's given the nod to the Bears. They're going to take that next step with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, but that's a tough division, John. How do you view that division?
If you're deciding on what the best division is in the league, to me, the last place team that you project has got to be worthy of finishing first. And every team in that division can finish first. And I'm not going to say every team couldn't finish last. All it takes is an injury to a key player, mainly a quarterback. But Caleb Williams played great. Ben Johnson did great. But I'll say this. Remember Washington at, let's see, going into last season, when they were coming off the NFC Championship game, going into Daniel's second season, a lot of people were picking up for the Super Bowl. Boom, he got hurt. Season's over.
Yep.
And so it should be the Bears. I'm not as impressed with the Packers as I am with the Bears. Detroit, to me, if you're picking a team to go from worst to first, Detroit would be the best one to do that in the NFL. But top to bottom, because every team can beat every team. They all could go 4-4, 3-3 on the road, and it wouldn't surprise me. But I think that is the best division. You look at the NFC West, and the NFC West has got good teams, but it may have the worst teams. So I think the NFC North is the best division in the NFL, and the NFC South is still the worst.
Yeah, the NFC South obviously has its questions there, but at the top it's top heavy, but at the bottom it's got some struggles for sure in that division. But we'll see how it all plays out sooner rather than later. We'll get the answers to the test. What do you take away, John, from these preseason games that, not the Hall of Fame game that we saw last week, but now that it's getting down to the actual real preseason games and the Raiders will be in Houston coming up in week 2?
It's two totally different philosophies between the Raiders coming off, 3 victories?
Yep.
And the Texans coming off 12 and a playoff victory. The Texans don't have many battles. They list their right tackle on offense, Trent Brown, and Braden Smith, who started for the Colts for years. They signed him in free agency. Last year, Trent Brown came over from the Patriots, and they were 7-0 when he's in the lineup, but he can't stay healthy. Mm-hmm. So that's on the depth chart. They go or. And on defense, they've got every starter down on their defense. The key is on defense, they need a third linebacker to emerge, and there's players every team wants to see. And then on offense, they need a good backup tight end who could play if Dalton Schultz gets hurt, and they don't have one. And so I don't think this team, they need the offensive line to be good. I can't wait next week to see the one-on-one drills from the defensive lineman and the offensive lineman and watch Max Crosby going up against the offensive tackles. Just like I'm sure Clint Kubiak's going to want to watch Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter go up against his guys, because you can control joint practices, but those one-on-one matchups, when those guys are doing everything they can to beat up each other, that's what I like best. Of course, you like watching the quarterbacks throw. I'll be watching Fernando Mendoza like everybody else. I don't care about Kirk Cousins. I've been watching Kirk Cousins so long. Who gives a damn about Kirk Cousins? I don't want to see the veterans, Q. I want to see the young guys or the new guys or the guys coming off major injuries.
John McClain is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920 Unnecessary Roughness. John's already at mid-season form. We love it around here. John, what was Gary Kubiak's philosophy when it came to the preseason and how he played his starters and his backups?
His first year as a head coach was 2006 when he came from Denver. And it wasn't like it used to be. When it used to be, starters would play like 4 games. Right. When they went to 4 preseason games, I think it was in 79, the starters would play a quarter. Then the next game they'd play 2. Then the next game they'd play 3. And the next game they'd play 3.5, and they were ready to go for the regular season. So they amped up to it. And now, of course, they don't do any of that. And one of the reasons they don't do that, they used to have terrible practice facilities. They didn't have They didn't have hardly any weights. They wanted to eat. They'd send a rookie to McDonald's. And so now they all have such great facilities throughout the off season. They can get fed great food. They get worked on constantly by the best people. So they don't have to play them a lot to get them in playing shape. But I still think, and I've talked to a lot of veteran players about this, there are no more injuries then than there are today, even though their philosophy was totally different. And Gary Kubiak did it that way. He wanted to see the starters some. He wanted to see the young guys. When Matt Schaub was their first-year quarterback in 2007, after they gave up on David Carr after those 6 seasons. They had to see Matt in the preseason and how he adjusted to the system, even though he was a veteran. So every coach, most of the coaches today are the same. We're going to get rid of a preseason game. We're going to end up with 2 preseason and 18 regular season and 2 byes, and probably an extra joint practice for every team, which I think would be great.
Yeah, why don't more teams do joint practices or even more? Because, John, from everything I've always understood and seen and even heard from you, coaches enjoy these joint practices more than they do the preseason game.
Because, like Clint Kubiak, he can call and talk. He's probably already done it. Clint can talk to D'Amico Ryans. Mm-hmm. Okay, we'd like to do this. You'd like to do that. Let's do this time for this, that time for that. And, of course, nobody touches the quarterback because they're wearing their red jerseys. But you can see more because you control it. You can't control a game.
Right.
And I remember Jeff Fisher told me one time when he was winning with Tennessee, it wouldn't bother him at all if he had one preseason game and the rest was just joint practices. I always wonder how in the world do colleges, they don't have any preseason games. They don't have joint practices. They'll have scrimmages, but how is it they hit the ground running and they seem just as good early in the first game as they are 4 or 5 games later?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. That's a great point that you bring up. John McClain is with us here. Raider Nation Radio 920, Unnecessary Roughness. So is there another storyline that you're looking at going into this season that you're excited about to see how it all plays out, a team or two that you're really focused in on?
I picked the Cowboys to win the NFC East, and one of the reasons is Philadelphia let go, basically ran off because they changed his responsibilities. One of the greatest offensive line coaches in history, Jeff Stalin. He was in charge of their running game. They brought in the new offensive coordinator, Sean Mannion. I don't even know if he shaves yet. And he was a backup quarterback, and everybody's really high on him. I read a story today about how great everything is there and good, but I still am picking the Cowboys. They're loaded on offense. Last year, the running game was better than anybody thought it would. Now the defense has got to be better. They signed Quinn Williams to that great contract. He deserves it. He's a great player. He is a great leader. He's great for the culture. Knows the kind of guys you want to have. Jerry Jones not having a quarterback controversy, a contract controversy at this time of the year, I feel sorry for the media because they where's the controversy? They don't have one. And that's unusual. So I like watching the Cowboys. They come here in the 4th game of the season. I don't care if the Texans went 1-16 if they beat the Cowboys. That's all I care about. And they beat them the last time here. And I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing Buffalo. If Buffalo can finally go back to the Super Bowl and win its first one and its first championship since the AFL in '64, with Jack Kemp at quarterback, Cookie Gilchrist at running back. The Rams favored. If the Rams don't win the Super Bowl, it'll be a huge disappointment. They're the Dodgers. It's just they don't do it all with money like the Dodgers. They do it with shrewd coaching, trades, personnel decisions. But the Rams are in a situation, if they don't win it, they'll be crushed. Super Bowl or bust is usually cliche. It's not with the Rams. And they've got a little nagging injuries, could be an issue, but it's going to be fun to watch them. If you're betting, would you take the Rams or would you take the field? Because the odds are so tough when you play 17 games and then you got to go win the playoffs and the Super Bowl. I'd probably take the field. But watching the Rams, seeing if Seattle can repeat without Clint Kubiak, and I'm always watching the Kubiaks, whether it's Clint or whether it's Clay, the offensive coordinator with the 49ers, who I expect to be a head coach next year. And Wade Phillips' son, he's the offensive coordinator for the Vikings, who will have a huge impact on Kyler Murray. So there's so many tremendous storylines. Mike Vrabel. The easiest schedule, and usually Super Bowl losers don't go back, and a lot of them don't go to the playoffs, like last year with the Chiefs. So There's just so many. Can't wait to see who gets the first pick, who the quarterback's going to be that's picked first. So it's college football is going to be great. The NFL is going to be great, and I can't wait.
Well, I'd pick the field if it was, me picking, the Rams or the field. And this is why, John. Matt Stafford, remember this time last year, he was getting like an epidural in his back. He was in some cryo chamber, and no one knew if he was going to play. And then all of a sudden he goes on and has an MVP season. We're banking on him to stay healthy all season long, and he's getting older. I mean, I feel like that's a hell of a gamble right there.
He threw 40 touchdown passes last year. And the fact that he's a pocket passer helps him because he's not getting hit, taking a lot of unnecessary chances. But as someone who's had back surgery, it can do to you, derail your life, really. But they do a good job protecting him. He's so smart about getting rid of the ball. Can't wait to watch their games against the Seahawks. Right now, it's the best rivalry in the NFL. And I'm fired up because here in the state of Texas, we got Texans who have made the playoffs the last 3 years and won a playoff game. Cowboys, who I think are going to win the division. University of Texas, A&M, both should be top 10. Texas Tech would be top 10. University of Houston is supposed to be top 25, won 10 games last year. I'm just sorry. I can't say anything like that about my Fighting Baylor Bears, but it still should be great football in the state of Texas, which, of course, we are a football state.
Absolutely. I know that's right. Friday night, Saturday night, and Sundays, and Mondays and Thursdays, every day to football goes in the state of Texas. There's no doubt about that. Well, John, great stuff as always. What are you working on, my man? And we'll be out there next week. Looking forward to seeing you. But what are you working on in the meantime, in between time?
Well, I'm covering the Texans, but I'm headed, me and our director, Mark Burns, and our producer, Rob Lynch, we're headed to Nashville tomorrow to do a bunch of interviews with Dan Pastorini, people that were associated with him, including Jim Nance, who lives in Nashville, and Amy Adams Strunk, and his former free safety, a former Raider, Mike Reinfeldt, who not only played for the Raiders and Al Davis. As soon as his career was done with here, Al hired him to negotiate contracts with the Raiders, and so we're going to be talking to them about the Pastorini documentary, and I'll be back Sunday, and I'll be ready for you.
There you go. I look forward to it, John. Great stuff as always. Enjoy Nashville. I love that city. I've only been there once, but it was great being there. So enjoy Nashville. I'll see you next week.
Q, thank you very much, as always.
Absolutely. Appreciate you. There's the general right there, John McClain. Great stuff from him, as always. We definitely appreciate him and his efforts this afternoon. JPJ is walking around the field right now. He's doing the 100-yard walk that I do traditionally after practice. He looks a lot better doing it tonight. So he's already made the whole lap around the whole field. And matter of fact, I think he's going back to the locker room at this stage of the game, but he's gone around the whole field. So that lets me know that it's getting closer and closer to some action here at Allegiant Stadium. You're starting to see it be a little bit more busy, starting to see some coaches. We have the coaches booth right next to where we're at. We're in the home radio booth, the home of Jason Horowitz and Kirk Morrison, and they're starting to do a little moving and shaking in that booth. So yeah, man, they're having a little bit of dress rehearsal tonight, and we're looking forward to being here and kind of providing all the coverage of what we see and what we hear from the players on the field. But we do want to hear from you at 702-365-9200. Don't forget, that's the same number you'll need to hit us on the text line. Liz Loza from ESPN Fantasy. She will join us coming up in about 10 minutes or so to talk all things fantasy football. If you have a question for Liz, hit up the text line, 702-365-9200, so we can pass it along. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
The Raiders don't want to rush into playing Fernando Mendoza. They want to make sure, A, that he is ready to go as an NFL quarterback, and B, that they are ready for him. They want to see the offensive line play better than it did last year. They want to see who's going to emerge as a reliable target among the wide receivers. You know, Ashton Genty, they have a bigger role planned for him in the passing game. So they just want to make sure that they, as a franchise, are in a place to put Mendoza in the best possible position to succeed whenever it is that he's ready to go in.
Now back to Unnecessary Roughness with your boy Q. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right.
ESPN's Dan Graziano on Fernando Mendoza, when he'll start, and kind of the philosophy behind it, something we've been talking about quite a bit here on Raider Nation Radio 920, and everyone in general has been talking about a lot. Want to know when they're going to see Fernando Mendoza. Dan Graziano was a guy that was just at the Raiders facility a couple days ago checking out practice as well. We've got Liz Loza from ESPN Fantasy, talking about the Fantasy Marathon coming up in a few minutes. If you have fantasy questions, get them into us at 702-365-9200. Real quick, let's go out to the phone lines. Go to Sacramento, California, talk to Raider Greg. Raider Greg, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Q, my brother, thank you for taking my call. You and Ari, I'll make it quick. I know you only got a few minutes. Nothing really surprised me about the first depth chart. Kind of the 5 linemen I thought they would roll out. Same thing on the defensive line. I do think that Darian Porter is going to be pushed by the young guys. Really looking forward to seeing who makes turnovers in this game when it comes to the safety position and the corner position, because I think Palomalu and Darian Porter are 2 positions that can get pushed by the young guys, depending on if these young guys show up early and get turnovers. I think that's going to be huge. Also on the offensive side, when it comes to Malik Benson, I think it's going to be tough for him not to push Jack Besh. I know Besh has the size, but if Benson in the young guys, man. But I know you got to get out of here, get to the guest. So God bless you and God bless RaiderNation.
Hey, great call, man. Great points. I definitely appreciate that, and right on time. So, yeah, really, really good stuff. And yeah, these guys increase some turnovers, man. They're going to be a thorn in the side of many guys that are on the roster if they can't do that. That's something that Robbie Leonard and the rest of the coaching staff is looking for. Those guys that know how to get the ball back to their offense, the guys that know how to create turnovers, the guys that have a history of doing that. That's why when they went out and drafted these guys, they all had that specific skill set. See ball, get ball. I say it all the time. I know it's cliche, but it's realistic, and the Raiders just don't do that. 8 interceptions last year. There's dudes in the league that had 8 interceptions themselves last year. The Raiders as a team had 8. That has to change, and they've got to be able to recover fumbles, get strip sacks, all that stuff. Turnovers. The ball is the key. You've got to get the ball, and the Raiders are going to be really focused in on doing that. We're going to be focused in on helping you win your fantasy football league as Liz Loza, ESPN Fantasy. She's going to join us coming up at the top of the hour to talk all things fantasy football on ESPN's Fantasy Marathon. That's next, live from Allegiant Stadium. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
They motion everyone to the left, one-on-one for Bowers. Here comes the blitz. Gino sees it, lobs it towards the end zone. Bowers shoved to the ground. Made the catch! Oh, my God! Bowers made the grab on his backside! One of the toughest catches you'll ever see! Brock Bowers on the turf, caught it with his one hand, and he smothered it into his chest! Wow! That is Brock in his prime, and that is a Raiders touchdown.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
Raider fans want to hear a lot more of that in 2026. Fantasy football fans are going to want to hear a lot more of that from Brock Bowers in 2026 as well. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920. We're going to turn our attention to fantasy football. The ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon is August 24th the 25th, beginning live on August 24th from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time and on ESPN2 with Fantasy Focus Countdown. And join us now to talk about that and also all things fantasy football is the expert, Liz Loza, ESPN Fantasy. And Liz, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate you. And I kind of teased the ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon, but this thing is a big, big deal. Tell us a little something about this.
Wow. Well, this is, first of all, thank you for having me. Love being a part of your listening in the desert. It is a big deal because this is the most wonderful time of year. Fantasy football is back. We are drafting, and the marathon is, oh my goodness, 4 hours live on Monday, you said it, August 24th.
Yeah.
And then Tuesday, the 25th, we do something for 2 hours that people really love, and that's all of us sitting up drafting so that we can all of the things that we told you and preached the day before for 4 hours, we have to put to the test ourselves with the cameras on us, because who are we going to draft? When we tell you to sit a certain player or start a certain player, are we actually going to follow through with our own advice? People love to see us tremble a little bit. And you know what? I'm a little bit of a sadist, so I don't mind it.
You know, it's funny. I tell people all the time I'm not a fantasy football guy because I know you just have to put so much work into it. I just don't have the time. But this thing has evolved and become such a monster. How have you seen this fantasy football just continue to evolve to where it is right now?
Well, I think the best thing about fantasy football, there's a lot. Number one, the community aspect. This is an opportunity for people to connect with friends that don't live near them anymore, or an excuse to get out of the house and sit and watch football all day with friends that do live nearby them while you're tracking your fantasy scores. I like to say that fantasy is like choose your own adventure for football fans. And if you happen, not that you guys can relate, but if you happen to be a fan of a team that generally doesn't win, here's an opportunity for you to gain some of that agency back and have that winning feeling yourself.
Yeah, well, there's not been a whole lot of winning around these parts, Liz, as you know. And, hey, I don't take it personally because I get it, right? It's up to the Raiders to do some winning. Liz Loza, ESPN Fantasy, is with us here, RaiderNation Radio 920. But they have a couple players. My guy Ari earlier said, hey, Q, there's a few players that you should be watching out for. Obviously, Brock Bowers, obviously, Ashton Genty are a couple. What would you say, I guess, what is the fantasy value for an Ashton Genty? Let's start with him.
Well, we can get to Genty, but I also want to say that the Raiders made a massive win in bringing in Clint Kubiak, who's coming off of a Super Bowl win, right? Like, I think this offense, and I know that he is now, the sixth permanent head coach since 2015 for the organization, but to me, there is a giant upgrade in coaching talent here, and we see that in the numbers that he lifted Seattle's offense with last year. I mean, this is the Seahawks points per game in 2024 were 20. They went to 25.5 in 2025. So I do expect a lift. I believe that he knows what he's doing. So this does feel like a different restart. Genty being obviously part of that centerpiece. You cannot deny the talent coming out of Boise State. He's an every down talent. He rumbles, he catches. And even last year when the offensive line was in shambles and he only averaged, partially due to that, 3.7 yards per carry, he was still the RB4 in evaded tackles. He was the RB5 in evaded tackles per touch. He caught a ton of passes. He was the RB7 in receptions last season. So we know that the talent is there and we know that he can perform. And thankfully, the O-line, I mean, y'all paid a boatload of money to Tyler Linderbaum, right? And that should really, really help. Hopefully, as well, Colton Miller can stay healthy. So I think this fortified and upgraded offensive line will provide more opportunity for Genty to find lanes and just absolutely crush. And obviously, when there's not actually, let me say, I do think Mike Washington is going to see some play here, but I don't think you can take Genty off the field as regularly, especially when it's just a rookie behind him. So volume will certainly be there. I am bullish on Genty. I was bullish on him last year. I have him ranked inside my top 10 fantasy players at the position.
How important is he, because he can not only run the rock, but obviously he can catch the ball in the backfield as well, as Clint Kubiak has mentioned. Christian McCaffrey, not saying he's that same guy, but has that same skill set.
I mean, I think that's it. You want in the NFL, you don't see as many workhorse bell cow running backs anymore, and obviously there are now these shared backfields. But when you and I think that's partially because, you know, organizations are being more mindful about not running their players into the ground and kind of load management, if you will, to borrow a phrase from the NBA. But I think when you have a talent like Genty's, there is no pulling him off the field. You have to utilize him. And when you spend the kind of draft capital that you did on Genty, then all the more reason to utilize his many, many versatile talents.
Liz Loza, ESPN Fantasy, is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920. One of our texters said, can you please ask what running backs and wide receivers do you recommend to stay away from? If you could advise 2 or 3 players to stay away from, what would you say?
Well, this is always a difficult question because everything has a value, right? So, like, do I want Christian McCaffrey as a top 5 pick? No, I don't. I don't love the workload that he is coming off of. There is no denying that he is the engine of Kyle Shanahan's offense, and he would see a lot of volume, but he's coming off of, I believe, over 400 total touches last season. We saw Saquon Barkley try to do a similar thing last year, and his efficiency dipped. It's not that CMC won't give you top 15 positional numbers like Barkley did last season, but he's also not someone I want to pick with my first 3 options, right? Like, I would rather, if I'm picking from the 3 spot, get myself a high floor wide receiver like Jamar Chase. So he's not a player that I'm staying away from, but if I can get him in the 2nd round, I love that. It's just that he's probably not going to go there because of his ADP. I have a similar feeling, and this is unpopular, but I'll be honest with you. Jonathan Taylor is another player who's cleared 300 carries in back-to-back seasons. Last year, there was something we talk about in fantasy called the rule of 370, and that is a player who has gone over 370 touches in a season always, and I've done the data over 20 years of research, has declined in terms of efficiency and fantasy points per game the immediate following season. A lot of players don't even finish the season because their bodies can't hold up to it. Last year, Jonathan Taylor notched 369 total touches, one touch shy of the rule of 370. So, yes, he's going to see a lot of volume, but is he going to last all season? Maybe. Again, in the second round, sure. But as a top 5 to 6 overall pick, I just don't like the value there. So those are two running backs that come to mind immediately. Devon Achane, I think, is a talent play. He's obviously not in a great situation in Miami. There's no field stretchers left. Mike McDaniels is now in Los Angeles with the Chargers, and he's obviously a run game specialist. So I think Achane's going to see a ton of loaded boxes. I do think he has the talent to overcome that. But he's also, without Tua Tagovailoa, not going to see a lot of those checkdowns. So his receiving work in PPR-friendly formats is going to be diminished. So there's three really high-drafted guys who I don't love for their value and would frankly rather wait and get like a Genti as my RB1 maybe a little bit later and try to find one of those high-floor wide receivers in the first round instead.
Talking all things fantasy football right now with Liz Loza from ESPN here on RaiderNation Radio 920 Unnecessary Roughness. Now, I'm not a fantasy football guy, but my eye test tells me in this system led by Clint Kubiak, Brock Bowers is going to see a lot of volume, and he has a chance, as long as he stays healthy, to, I think, be a record breaker in this offense. What do you see from Brock Bowers in this Clint Kubiak-led offense?
Well, I will tell you that he is my number one ranked tight end player at the position. I think you are totally right. He is the centerpiece of this offense. Who else is going to catch balls? He is another, like Genti, but obviously different, do-it-all talent. I think he's probably going to catch over 100 balls if he stays healthy. And I know that people were a little disappointed in his sophomore slump last season, but everyone has to remember that he wasn't just injured, but he got injured in week 1 and fought through those injuries. So he was already dealing from a deficit and still managed to put up giant efficiency numbers, even while working through that injury and in like an offense that was slumping. I also think that Kirk Cousins is going to start the season under center. I think that that's a higher floor option. I do expect that Mendoza will take over eventually. They got to give the kid reps. But I do think there is an upgrade at quarterback when you have Kirk Cousins coming in. We know that Cousins has, over the course of his career, regularly and comfortably targeted the tight end position. That only leans more favorably for Bowers.
We got this text from our guy, Big Dub Raider. He said, thanks for getting Miss Liz on the show. I'm listening to the ESPN Fantasy Pod. I'm in ESPN leagues, 4 of them, and I want to dominate. My question is, I know you like Jaden Daniels' bounce-back season. How early would you take him? Second, who is your favorite non-first-round pick? Thanks. Go Raiders. There you go. It's Big Dub Raider.
Well, thank you for listening. I really appreciate you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for playing. I do like Jaden Daniels' bounce back. I don't like the injury to his offensive line that just happened, but let's assume we can work through that. To be honest, there is so much depth at quarterback right now, and the emergence of mobile quarterbacks have really helped to narrow the gap between players here. And frankly, I have one player at the top in a tier of his own. It's Josh Allen. After that, there's a drop off, if you will. I don't really like taking a quarterback before round 6 if I don't have to. Maybe round 5, depending on the size of the league. But I would comfortably take Daniels in the 6th round, and people are afraid of him after all of the injuries he dealt with. The whole team dealt with injuries last season and after his slump. So there is value there, which is why I like him. But I really don't want to take a quarterback after or before the 6th round. I also really like Justin Herbert as someone you can still get in the early double-digit rounds. I expect the Chargers to have quite a rebound. I like what McDaniels is doing to that offense. So those are two guys. And what was the second half of the question? Who was my favorite pick after round 1?
Yeah, who's your favorite non-first-round pick?
Wow, there's a lot of rounds after round 1.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
So I will say that I really think, Jonathan Brooks is probably my favorite value on the whole board. Running back in Carolina, really tough start to his career. He tore the ACL in his right knee twice over a span of 13 months, but He is back to health. He is practicing. He was held out of the first Panthers preseason game, which is a great sign. That means they're going to protect him. I don't think Chuba Hubbard is very much of a threat. They let Rico Dowdle go in the offseason, and they completely ignored the position during the NFL draft. So I think Brooks is someone who will overtake that RB1 role. My prediction is by Halloween. Right now, he's going in the double-digit rounds, awesome value. So that is my target, and I don't even mind reaching for him because I think he will ROI on that ADP, even if you take him in like round 9.
Again, Liz Loza, ESPN Fantasy, is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920. And let's say, Roughness, my man Ari back in our home studio. He has a fantasy football question that he wanted to ask you. Go ahead, Ari.
Yeah, thank you, Liz. I just wanted to know with rookies, kind of generally what your thought is with drafting rookies. There are a lot of that have a lot of upside. And I guess, is there a system you use? Kind of last year, I ended up kind of, quote, getting stuck with Amari and Hampton. I just wasn't sold. I wasn't sure what I was getting into. And then all of a sudden it worked out pretty well. So there's a lot of hype from some of them. I look at the teams. I kind of overthink it. So I was just curious kind of how you approach those situations.
Well, you're not alone. Overthinking is key to all fantasy football management. So we all do it every single day, every single week. Omari and Hampton, though, that is a player I am high on this year with that fortified offensive line, back to health, more depth, some new field stretchers. McDaniels, obviously, who I already mentioned, I think invigorated. But Hampton last year got you 5 touchdowns over 9 games. He just got unlucky with injuries. What was the question again? You said Hampton, and I just got really excited.
It wasn't even about him. He was just an example.
In general.
That should tell me everything I need to know.
Rookies, okay. I think rookies, I watch a lot of tape in the new year. I actually worked the NFL draft from the .com perspective and from fantasy for the company, for ESPN. So I pay close attention to these guys, and I will say that a lot of it is, yes, talent and also landing spot. Right now, I love Carnell Tate. I am probably higher on him than the rest of my colleagues. I have him as my wide receiver 22. He is and this is what I mean about situation. He is stepping into a situation where there is no alpha on the field. He also was touted as being the most pro-ready wide receiver in this year's draft class. So that's a combination of, like, we know the talent is out of Ohio State. We know what a factory they produce at the pass catcher position. And he's stepping into a situation where he's going to see a ton of volume. So to me, it is weighing the marriage of, yes, talent and ability and polish, and also opportunity. And Carnell Tate, to me, is the perfect example of those two things. Jeremiah Love, obviously another rookie running back in Arizona that a lot of people talk about. Do-it-all skill set, like we discussed, caught a ton of balls at Notre Dame, was drafted very hard by the Cardinals, but entering a bit of a more crowded backfield. Tyler Algier will absolutely vulture the goal line, just like he did Bijan Robinson. We've seen this movie before, but I still think Love can give you like top 12 production, because I don't think an organization, especially one in the middle of a reboot, will spend that kind of draft capital on a player that they don't want to utilize.
Man, that was an interesting question there you had, Ari. I'm not mad at that at all, talking about rookies and how to break it down. Well, we'll close it out with this, and this is a rookie as well, and I know you said you don't like drafting quarterbacks early. In the case of Fernando Mendoza, when nobody knows when he's even going to get on the field, how do you approach that situation? How do you go about drafting Fernando Mendoza?
You don't.
Okay.
Is the answer. Like,
that's simple.
There's just, unless you're playing in like a super flex or 2 quarterback league, for me, Fernando Mendoza, especially at a position like we talked about a little bit earlier that's so deep, you don't really need one, right? If there's 10 people in your league, 12 people in your league, 14 people in your league, Mendoza's not ranked yet inside the top 15 at the position, so he's not going to see most virtual rosters.
There you go. Simple as that. I'm okay with that. Nothing wrong. Again, the ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon, August 24th, 25th, live on August 24th from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2 with Fantasy Focus Countdown. It's going to continue from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Liz, fantastic stuff. Thank you so much for giving us some time. We appreciate you. Keep up doing the good work of the Fantasy Football Marathon and more. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a good one.
All right, you do the same. Liz Loza right there, ESPN Fantasy, with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920. And again, for all the fantasy football folks out there, that was for you. Fantasy Football Marathon. Definitely, I know how big that is, and answered a lot of questions. And I was wondering that, I mean, obviously I'm not going to play, but I was wondering that, what do you do with a Fernando Mendoza if you just want to have him on your team? She said you don't draft him. You don't draft him. That's probably the only time you don't draft Fernando Mendoza, right? Is in a fantasy football type situation. Sorry, are you ready now? Do you have the knowledge that you need?
Yeah, that was a definite upgrade to my knowledge. The Mendoza thing's great too because I've noticed in the local leagues that I play in, and these guys know what they're doing. They've been playing longer than I do, but you just can't help but draft a Raider. Like ideally, you want them Genty Bowers, but I feel like someone's going to either draft Mendoza or like halfway through the season, as soon as he let's say it's game 6 or something, they're just gonna, and they don't have like a great quarterback, they're just gonna go grab him. And I think she's absolutely right. Doesn't diminish how great he'll be on the field or not. It's just from a fantasy standpoint. So that's kind of a fun thing. I'll be laughing hopefully when I watch. I'll be thinking about her comment when someone grabs him.
If I was playing fantasy football, he'd be on my team.
Exactly.
I would have whoever like the best player that's not a Raider in fantasy football would probably end up on my team. And then someone would be like, Hugh, you want to trade? I got Mendoza. You want to trade? I'd be like, yep. Sure do. No problem. I'll say that's just how
we got a
unserious
spot on our
I
league
am.
if you want to jump on.
No, I'm good,
kidding.
man. I'm good. That's just how unserious I am when it comes to that. But like I said, I know how real it gets and how important, how much people take it seriously. Like even Justin Ray said, I have 8 ESPN Fantasy Football leagues. I'm serious. This is my 16th year playing fantasy football since 2010. There you go. Raider NTX said, I think she was impressed with Ari's question. Hey. There you go, Ari.
I like that she said we all overthink. I was like, all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, I'm made for fantasy football.
You're so lucky she said that. I was about to pounce on that one. As soon as you said that you overthink, I was about to say everything. Yep. Ari overthinks everything, and then she said we all do. She bailed you out.
Yes.
Man, she gave you a lifeline.
Confidence. Yeah, gave me a little boost.
Man, I was about to be on that one. you know how they say it, be your own folks, right?
Yep.
Be your own people. Yeah, I had you. Hey, man, you were in my sights. I was like, I got him.
That's awesome.
Got him on this one.
That's why they call it fantasy and not reality.
That is hilarious. No, yeah, she gave you an out on that one. That was a really good one. So there you go. Definitely appreciate the feedback on the text line. Big Dub Raider and also Sir Whiskey Ray. Appreciate the questions for Liz, and we'll obviously do some more fantasy football as well. Gustavo said Bowers and Genty are non-negotiables for drafting this year. Yeah, I mean, look, I said it, and I don't have to be a fantasy football guy. I don't even have to be that smart. But just being out there at practice and seeing how this offense is evolving, Brock Bowers, if he stays healthy, man, this dude's going to do numbers, right? Fantasy football, real football, whatever it is. I mean, even in a down year, he increased his touchdowns last year, right? His rookie year, he had, 5 touchdowns? Last year, he had 7. So, and he wasn't even healthy the entire year.
He earned them, too.
I mean, yeah, exactly. So, it's definitely what he's got to do is stay healthy, and he'll put up those big numbers. I just think that offense that Clint Kubiak runs is so ideal for what Brock Bowers can do, and the way that he just runs away from guys, runs away from linebackers, and he's too strong for corners and guys in the secondary like that. So there you go. He said Raider in Texas. My bad.
I get
LOL. I get it now. Raider NTX in Texas. Hey, man, look,
couldn't afford the I.
That's all good. That's funny. Good stuff. I like that. All right, Raider in Texas. I hear you on that one. Let's see. This one comes from Bert. Too hard to keep and tired of losing in the first round of playoffs by guys that had no business winning. Oh, there you go. So he's like me. He's not in the fantasy football world. Oh no, he said I usually run 2 leagues. I'm out this year. I got to give it a rest. Okay, there you go. Now I got the text came in a weird order, but I got it now. There you go. I respect that. Big Zane said, any chance you guys can tell me when the stadium opens today? Let's see. Yes, I can. Hold on. I had it. I passed it along earlier today. Let me do it one more time. The gates, parking lot opens at 3:30. Stadium entry gates at 4:30, so 8 minutes from now. And then everything starts at 6 and ends at 8 o'clock. So there you go. About 8 minutes from now, the stadium doors will open up. I'm looking forward. I'm looking down here right now. I selfishly just want to kind of run around the stadium and hang out with the fans and kick it as opposed to, do my job. I don't have to do game night tonight, so I'm like, man, I'm fired up. I'm seeing people on the field. I'm seeing TV crews start to line up, the camera crews. Oh, there's Big Link. Nice. Is that Big Lincoln down there?
You got your workout in already, so that's good.
Yeah, I got my workout in. I definitely don't need to do any more running. Is that? I think that is Lincoln. Yeah, that's Lincoln. He's all right. So he's there on the sidelines already working the field, working the edges. Saw JPJ, a couple other offensive linemen look like they were walking around. I see Fox 5. Looks like Vince Sapienza's playing top flight security of the world down there.
Boy.
You know, Vince said something this morning. I don't mean to dime this guy out, but no, seriously, we're gonna have to bring this to I'm gonna have to get that soundbite and bring it to the show tomorrow. They were talking about the preseason game on Thursday. Maybe we'll do it on Thursday when we actually talk about expectations for the preseason game. And remember, this show will come to you live from 12 to 3 on Thursday, and then myself and Lincoln will jump into the pregame show from 3 to 5, leading you up to kickoff. But they were talking this morning on the morning tailgate about kind of how long these guys are going to play. You know, one of the big questions that's been asked about playing time and how long is Kurt going to play? Are the starters going to play? Is Fernando going to play? What's Aiden O'Connell going to play? And they had Jesse Merrick, and I felt like they roped Jesse Merrick into this conversation. But they were asking about playing time. And Vince said, I know it's not going to happen, but I want to see Fernando Mendoza play all 4 quarters. I think it would be beneficial to see him play all 4 quarters so he can manage the game. And I almost crashed. I almost crashed my car on my way to the facility this morning. I almost did. It's preseason game number 1. There is not any type of anything or any team or any coach that would ever think about playing their number 1 overall pick all 4 quarters of preseason game number 1. And like I said, I know he gave himself an out by saying that he knows it's not going to happen, but that's what he wants to see happen. And then they convinced themselves. They found, sometimes you could talk yourself into something. Yeah. That's how I got in trouble a lot when I was a kid. I convinced myself that things were right.
You need a voice of reason to set you straight.
No, I was the voice of reason for myself. I was always that kid, if you don't know, that could talk myself into something, right? I can convince myself that sounds right, and I'm just going to roll with it. And the problem for most of my friends, I was good at convincing them too. So that's how we normally got ourselves in trouble when we did, in fact, get in trouble. But they talked themselves into a conversation of Fernando Mendoza playing 3 quarters on Thursday. There's not a chance that he's playing 3 quarters at all. We will be lucky to see Fernando Mendoza for a half. And look, I don't know anything. Clint Kubiak talked to the media today. He, said starters will play. He did not indicate what the game plan is going to be. He was TBD when it came to Max Crosby. But my expectations, just from watching football, again, from being your average football fan, has watched a lot of preseason and regular season games, obviously, is that Kirk Cousins probably will get a drive at best in preseason game number 1. And then you'll see Fernando Mendoza, and he'll probably get a couple drives. And then they'll pass the sticks on to Aiden O'Connell. He'll probably finish off the first half, and then it'll be the Jacob Clark show in the second half. That's in my head. That's how it's going to go. And I'm not saying that I'm spot on and I'm the end-all, be-all, I know. But there's not a chance that there's going to be the number 1 overall pick is going to play 3 quarters of a game. Of preseason game number 1. There's not a chance. And I don't know how they convinced themselves of that, but in the conversation that they were having this morning, they like I said, you could talk yourself into your own bad habits. Right? You can talk yourself into that's a good idea when it's a bad idea. Like I said, I've done it plenty of times myself. So I understand how it happens. It's like that it's the end of the night and it's time to go home and then you're like, well, I could get one more margarita. It's not going to hurt nobody. And then next thing you know, it's 3 a.m. and you're still sitting there wondering, how in the hell did I not get home? Why didn't I go home? Because you knew that it was bad business, but you convinced yourself that, it won't be a bad idea. Oh, it'll be fine. My son used to say it to my mom. Talking about when she went to drop him off one day with his mama, and he was trying to get her to stop at the spot to get some ice cream. And she was like, I got to get to your mom. Oh, she won't mind. She won't mind if you're late. It's okay. It's all right. What did my mom do? All right, you're right. Let's go and pull over and get, apple don't fall far from the tree. Yeah. We are very, very convincing folks.
I mean, we just spent like 3 months talking about how it will be Kirk Cousins. all the different angles and narratives. So I don't know. I feel like it's pretty obvious what's that he's not going to play 4 quarters or.
Yeah, I mean, it's a preseason game.
Yeah,
and preseason game number 2 is now like preseason game number 3, where it was the glorified dress rehearsal, right? That's what preseason game 3 used to be. It used to be where you saw the starters for more times than not. But there's not a chance while these guys are still trying to figure out how to tie their shoes. That this your number 1 overall pick is going to go behind the offensive line that's trying to figure each other out and play 3 quarters.
It would undo.
Are you kidding me?
It would undo like all the preparation and everything that the whole.
There's just not a chance. And like I said, I'm probably not even doing the conversation any justice. But when I heard it and I was listening to it, I had to put both hands on the wheel. I had to put both hands on the wheel because I thought, what in the world are they talking about? Where did this come from? But like I said, I get it because everyone wants to see Fernando so bad.
Manifested.
But seriously, it's like you want to see the young man play so bad that you're like, yeah, well, that makes sense that he plays 3 quarters. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, think about what we saw in the Hall of Fame game, and I know it's just a Hall of Fame game. Carson Beck played for what? A quarter? Maybe?
And he shines, too, but...
He looked good, sure.
But you got to, keep it pushing.
But Haynes King, the undrafted free agent for Carolina, he played the majority of the game. The undrafted free agent is preseason game number 1.
He just happened to be good, but yeah.
I mean, and now guess what? Now he's hurt. He played in 1 game and hurt himself already. So, that's these guys aren't going to risk these
gloves.
These elite players, these ones that they look like being the franchise. They're not going to risk them for 3 or 4 quarters in a preseason game unless you're the 90th man on the roster and you're just trying to, find a roster spot and put some film out there so you can get picked up by another team. Like, that's just not the reality of a preseason game. So, I mean, I didn't mean to wax them and give them all the smoke, but that I couldn't help myself, man. I couldn't help myself. So
maybe
it's
we
his
should
fault.
make a bet.
I saw him across the field, so it's his own fault.
Maybe we make a food bet. Hey, if Mendoza starts all 4 quarters, if he doesn't, somebody's got to buy you a steak. How about that?
Oh no, I'm good.
I'm
good. I ain't waiting for them to buy me no steak.
Yeah,
I'm going to Joe's,
Smart
baby.
man.
I'm going to Joe's.
Smart man.
I'm going to Joe's. Who's going with me? That's all I'm asking.
I am ready to give you all a pair of tickets to see the Spin Doctors at the pool at Sahara, Las Vegas. By the way, the show is not till October 10th, but we already have tickets in-house. So give me a call right now, 702-365-9200. Caller 9 must be a Nevada resident.
Boom, there it is right there. Ari's got winning. We are here at Allegiant Stadium, and I got a performance. I got a flush brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing.Vegas. Moonlightplumbing.Vegas. We'll do that all next here on RaiderNation Radio 920.
And come into an offense with so many great young players, Ashton, Brock, we have so many young receivers and also other tight ends and running backs and offensive linemen. It's very invigorating and inspiring as a quarterback because you're coming in with a group that has a ton of potential because we're all young, we all grow to work and learn each other and how we can make the Raiders the best offense that we can possibly be. But at the same time, it's just potential. It needs to be complemented with improvement and deeds and actual work and facts that, we're improving on the field.
You're listening to Unnecessary Roughness with your boy Q. Brought to you by Meineke, doing car care right.
Fernando Mendoza right there with Eberthea Harris on Sirius XM Radio. That was over at the Raiders facility. Kirk Morrison was there in attendance as well. Really good conversation with the number 1 overall pick, the guy everyone is anticipating and wants to see in action, some a little bit more than others, to the tune of a full game in preseason game number 1. It's Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920. I do have a performance that I got to flush. We'll do that coming up in about 10 minutes or so. But right now, let's hustle up and go out to the phone lines. Let's hear from you. It's your time to shine. 702-365-9200. Let's start things off with our guy, Hardcore Raider. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind, my man?
Thank you. I am excited to see Fernando Mendoza, but, I like being on an island a lot of times. Well, what about Aiden O'Connell, dude? I know he's number 3 on the depth chart, but we've heard all this talk that he's doing really good, and I think the scheme is good for Aiden O'Connell. I mean, if there's any scheme that, since O'Connell has been in the NFL or with the Raiders, this is probably the best scheme that fits his style, if we're being honest, And I know that would be like with the third string, and I know he's so far down on the depth chart that it doesn't make probably too much of a difference, but I still care about the guy. I'd like to see him shine and for his next chapter. So, after Mendoza, I'd like to see Aiden O'Connell get some time, and hopefully he does good. I mean, let's not forget he got hurt in one of the preseason games, and it kind of shifted things. But, I'd like to see Aiden O'Connell do something and look good, and hopefully it helps his future,
Absolutely. I agree with you, and I fully expect to see Aiden O'Connell. I expect to see a lot of Aiden O'Connell, as a matter of fact. That's why like I said, I almost crashed when I heard Vince and them talking about how long they thought Fernando Mendoza was going to play. Look, I expect Kirk Cousins on Thursday to play a drive. I expect Fernando Mendoza to play, maybe a quarter. I expect Aiden O'Connell to finish off the first half, maybe even play the whole second half. But I expect to see a lot of Aiden O'Connell. And look, I know he's in the last year of his deal. I know he's third on the depth chart currently. I see a world where Aiden O'Connell is re-signed and eventually is the backup quarterback to Fernando Mendoza because he is comfortable in this situation. He is comfortable in this system. He has been a good soldier with this team since he's been with the team. I don't see any negative from Aiden O'Connell being on this team. I think that he's done everything the right way, and he's out there busting his backside every single day of practice. I can tell you that for sure. So, yeah, I don't hold anything against Aiden O'Connell at all. Let's hustle up and go back out to the phone lines, talk to our guy, Raider Mike. Raider Mike, welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Raider Mike, what's up, brother?
Sorry, Q. I'm singing at the Sierra Nevada Brewery out here in Carolina.
Nice.
Hopefully I'm not breaking up.
Nope, you're good.
I sound good, Q?
Yep, you sound crystal clear,
anyway,
brother. What you got?
Well, I can't hear the morning tailgate where I'm at. I'm in Siberia. I got to drive 20 miles just to listen to you.
Well, okay, that's a good drive. Vince? That's a drive that was worth it then, brother.
You're my brother, man.
There you go.
Vince S., come on, dude. Are you out of your mind? 4 quarters from Fernando. No. He's the Lamborghini we don't have to pull out yet.
Exactly.
That's just crazy to me.
Me too, brother.
Well, if I had a signal, I would have jumped on him right then and there, bro. You know that. You know how I roll. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I wasn't even going to call in. I snuck down to the brewery when I was singing and had to say that to Vince. And you can tell him I said it on your show next time you see him.
Well, I said it on the air. I said it on my show, too, so it's all good. We're in the same crew.
Anyway, I do have one other comment. The WNBA needs to quit using that league as a political platform.
Yes, agreed.
Agreed. It's horrifying what's going on there, man.
Yep.
You have your Easter egg. You have the hype is there, and you're destroying the hype.
Yep.
That does not make sense to me, Q.
They're cannibalizing themselves.
So anyway,
they're eating themselves alive. It's unfortunate, but they're eating themselves alive.
I don't get it. 30 years to do what you're doing now?
Yep.
Destroy it? Over petty crap? Now, the trans thing, I get what they're doing there, but don't make it public. Just, figure it out on the side.
It's too much, brother.
Anyway, Q, I love the show. I miss you, bro. Later, Ari. Raider, come out, bro. Peace.
There he goes, Raider Mike. So we go from hardcore to Raider Mike to Money Mitch. Man, keep the gifts, keep on coming. Money Mitch, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
What's popping, Q? Ari?
Chilling, man. Chilling.
Love the show. Love you guys.
Appreciate it.
I'll give you a little exercise. So I'm liking our tailback feel. With deep, I think 3 running backs, I like them. And our defensive line, I think, is going to play much better than last year. And hitting the quarterback preseason, that's Bush League. And today, I'm going to go solo. USC is going to win by about 50 points. USC. I hope it doesn't rain. 3:30. I'm going to see my first college football outside of Princeton. I go to a couple of Princetons every year. So I'm excited for that. I'm going to go solo. Not a problem. I'll fit in like a glove. I'm loving it.
Okay. All right. I like it. I like it.
I wish I'll get you a ticket. You gotta let me know. Just reimburse me. You can meet me there?
Okay. How are you going to tell me you're going to get me a ticket but then reimburse you? If you're going to get me a ticket, get me a ticket on GP, man. Give me a ticket on Love. You know what I mean? Like, hook a brother up. Do something good for your country.
All right. Yeah, I can afford that. You're right. I'll give you the date. September 19th.
Oh,
I'll
that's
go
a
back
special
in
day.
there.
September 19th, special day. That's a special day.
What, the barbershop? You there every Saturday.
That's
you're talking. You ruin it for everybody at FedEx.
No. Hey, just trust me. Just leave it alone on that one. September 19th is a special day, brother. You want to walk away from this one. I don't want to break it to you right now. We'll talk about it later.
All right, brother. You have a nice day. Talk to you later.
His whole energy level just dropped. He went from a 10 to a 2. I'm sorry, Money Mitch. I'll trust me. September 19th is a great day. It's a great day of celebration. But that's another conversation for another day. Let's go out to Richmond. Talk to Daniel. Big Dan. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Q, what's going on, man? Yeah, I'm over here laughing, bro. You said you're going to reimburse me. I'm cracking up, bro. Anyways, oh, man, I was cracking up. I'm like, all right, so September 19th, man, we know that date. The reason I was calling is I'm excited to see Mendoza, man. I hope he plays at least a quarter, man. I think the hype is there. Like you say, you don't want them there too long because as long as you get those third stringers in there, man, you got to get them out because, you don't want to risk it. Even though he's the third one, he's probably going to be in the third as a depth, but, we don't want to risk him, man. And O'Connell, I always like that guy. I always like that guy, but, when he had a chance, he got injured and, he's had bad luck, but he's all right, but we don't have to worry about him. We have to worry about the rookies. We like last year, all the rookies played. Well, a year before that, with the dude from the GM from Telesco. He had a good draft. So Telesco had a good draft. All that between. We just hope that this year's draft, and next year's and this year, start something. That's the team, and we're just waiting for Mendoza, man. Waiting for Mendoza. One last thing, Q.
Yep.
So being Vegas a home opener, is that the spot to go get a steak or what you recommend?
Yeah. Hey, man, Joe's is the spot, man, inside the Caesars Forum shop. That's my favorite steakhouse here in town. If you want to go somewhere and impress somebody, take them there. We've actually had people from this show go and get engaged there because I encourage it and tell you to go there. That is the best place ever. I don't have to. Yeah, go ahead and go there. That's a good place.
Right on, bro. Thanks for the recommendation. If I do go there, are you going to reimburse me or what?
Yeah. I'll go with you. How about that? I'll go with you, man.
Bro, I was cracking up, man. Anyway, have a good day, man. I was cracking up with Mitch, man.
Yes, sir. Hey, Money Mitch is a crack up. Daniel, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate that. Really good stuff, Daniel in Richmond. And, how you going to offer me a ticket and talk about I'll get you a ticket. You gonna reimburse me? Man, come on, man. You gotta hook me up because I'm your homeboy, Money Mitch. But that's all good. I do appreciate it. 702-365-9200. We'll come back. We'll close out the show. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
It's time to flush it on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing.
It's funny. I had a whole flush that I was going to do. I have this great flushing from an amateur golfer that had to resign because he cheated on a hole-in-one. But now that I'm seeing the reaction to the text line to what Vince Sapienza said this morning about the Fernando Mendoza playing all four quarters, sometimes these things write themselves. So let's go ahead and flush what Vince had to say. It's funny, Rob in Oakland hit us on the text line. I had a similar reaction to Vince's comments this morning. I know people are anxious to see Fernando play, but all four quarters is an absurd concept. That's Rob in Oakland. Our guy Frankie said, "What up, Q and Ari? I guess you can flush Vince Sapienza for his statement on playing all four quarters." That's Raider Cisco. And then Just Win Will said, "Come on, Mitch, shaking my damn head. It be your own people." So there you go, man. Look, like I said, I don't want to rush the flushing that I had, but yeah, I think the idea and the concept of seeing Fernando Mendoza play multiple quarters in the first preseason game is so unrealistic. And I thought Vinny Bonsignor brought up a good point. Wait a minute. You got third stringers that are trying to make the team. You got third stringers that are trying to make a name for themselves. You really want that guy hauling ass down the line at your quarterback that you drafted number 1 overall, and all of a sudden this guy lays a hit on him and he's out? Because, look, some of these guys, they'll take their effort and they'll go a little too far. It just, like I said, I get it, man. There's a lot of excitement around Fernando Mendoza. We all know that that's the future. We all want to see him play an extensive amount of time, but not right now. This ain't it. And I just thought it was irresponsible. I thought it was a bad sound to even suggest that he should play 4 quarters. And to be honest, and I got a lot of respect for Jesse Merrick, he talked about 3 quarters. That's too much. That's too much. You have 4 quarterbacks on this roster for a reason, right? And right now is when they're going to get an opportunity to play. Like I said, Kirk Cousins at most will get 1 drive on Thursday. Then Fernando will take over. Then it'll be Aiden O'Connell. And then you'll see a whole lot of Jacob Clark. Like, that's the reality. Anyone who's watched the game, like Raider Cisco, like Robin Oakland, like Burt, like Just Win Will, knows that that's how the pecking order goes in a preseason game, especially the very first preseason game. So, yeah, Ari, I know that this kind of is going off script, but let's go ahead and flush that idea and that concept heard earlier today on the morning tailgate. That flushing, of course, is brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing. You can check them out at moonlightplumbing.vegas. As you know, there is no job that's too big or too small. They're veteran-owned and operated. This company handles every job from leaky faucets, water heaters, to commercial installs, including greases, interceptors. Military and first responder discounts are available. Of all things that can be flushed down the drain, time and money should not be 2 of them. Visit moonlightplumbing.vegas. That's moonlightplumbing.vegas.
Flush It is brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing. Affordable, dependable plumbing professionals serving Las Vegas since 2016. We mean business.
So there you go. I mean, sometimes, like I said, these things write themselves, and, the storyline is writing itself for the rest of the evening as the doors are open here at Allegiant Stadium, and you're starting to see the fans pile in, and everyone's getting their seat and their look right there next to the rails. They're all as close to the field as possible right now, and that's the beautiful thing about getting this $5 ticket. It's open seating. It's not like you have to go sit in section 410, row J, seat 3 and 4. Like, you've got the pick of the litter. All you need to do is roll in. I'm seeing a group right now in all yellow coming in. It looks like maybe a high school group or a boys club or something like that. That's always good. Looks like there's a group of maybe cheerleaders over on the at the far end zone. Looks like a group sitting there. Looks like about 20 of them. That's what this opportunity is great for. Get out of the heat, get into Allegiant Stadium, get an early look at the Raiders, and it only costs you $5 a ticket. So I know that there's going to be plenty more people that are going to roll in here and enjoy what's going to happen. And check out the festivities. Everything gets going at 6 o'clock. Mike Sullivan, the quarterback coach who we talked to the other day, he's been getting ready next door in the offensive coach's booth. He's got the old Cortezes on, all my sneakerheads. He got them old Nike Cortezes. He said, I'm old school. He got those shoes on, so he's out there representing. This is going to be fun, man. Exciting. This is the first step. And then, of course, on Thursday will be the first preseason game that we will not see Fernando Mendoza play all 4 quarters. Sorry, Vince. Hey, but tune into the morning tailgate, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Of course, they will have the full recap of what's going to happen this evening and what it looked like from the scrimmage with the silver and black. And we'll be back tomorrow afternoon here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Have a great night.
Car crash? Got road rash?
Muddy.
More